Alright, if I'm too loud or if the music's too loud, let me know. Oh boy. Okay, so this is just a test stream because I haven't done anything really in a while. So it is what it is. So I'm kind of trying to decide how I want to kind of format this and see where we go with this. There's a lot to catch up on, quite clearly, and I'm not going to be able to tackle everything, but I will try to go for what I can when I can. With that being said, let's get to some important stuff, or something that I consider important, and then we'll get to the bullshit. So, I'm not sure if you guys know this, because I didn't know until like 8 hours ago. But apparently, Sunspot Gallery is out here making moves, you know what I'm saying? Like real G's do, and isn't really saying nothing to nobody. And he's got himself a kind of like an interview series going, where it's kind of like a one-on-one. It's a real intimate type of thing and whatnot. And it's I like what I saw, to be honest with you. I think I ended up seeing episode 8, which was Playing With Your Beliefs, I think, was who he was speaking to. But there's like 8 episodes and whatnot. It's only been going on for like the last 10 days, give or take. So I thought I'd shout it out. In the description box, I actually have a link to Sunspot Gallery's channel, as well as a link to the playlist. So I'd very much appreciate it if you would, you know what I'm saying, go over there, check it out. Just give me an idea of what you think. Like I said, you know, I haven't talked to Sunspot in forever, so he don't know I'm doing this or whatever. But I thought it was actually a pretty interesting talk, to be honest with you. And I thought there was some stuff said. A lot of it I agreed with. To be honest, it's it's an interesting situation, the way what the DSP community has become, I should say. So it is what it is on that. But either way, I think it's a good listen. So if you guys wouldn't mind checking it out, I can drop the link down in the description as well, or in the chat. Matter of fact, let me do that now. And you guys can check that out at your leisure. I can, let me give you guys the link to the playlist, I guess. And like I said, you guys can check that out whenever you're ready. It's called Pigsplaining, which is it's a great name, by the way. So, big ups to Sunspot Gallery, and as always, wish him well on whatever he's doing moving forward. Alright, there you go. So, and big ups to everybody else. Now, why are you guys here? Like I said, this is just a test, so I don't really know why you guys are here. But there's a couple of things I want to go over briefly, and then we can actually start getting it, and then I can give you guys an idea of what I'm trying to go for. So as you guys normally do, or what I normally do, I should say, let's reword that, is I come up here, we chat it up, then I throw up a bunch of videos, we react to it, we have a discussion, we laugh a lot, and then we all go on with our day. Same process. But I will break everything up into segments, so it's easier to timestamp it later, so people can get to what they want, whether they're on the stream or not. Thinking in the long run, or a long-term thinking, is something that DSP has never been able to really get ahead of, as well as Wings, as well as a lot of people. So we'll do it this way, and we'll see what's what. Now, because of some of the stuff that's been going on the main channel, which is unrelated to what's going on with other detractors right now, by the way. This is shit that I just really had no clue what was going on, and then it just kind of like imploded a little bit. While that's being dealt with, I will try to stream a little bit or whatnot, because I only have so many fucks to give in a day. So, you know. So that'll be essentially the plan. Sounds good? Sounds good? Cool. Alright, so I'm gonna give you guys some bite-sized stuff, essentially, of what we're getting ready to do now, and then later on, whatever the next stream is, we'll actually start tackling some shit. So first thing is the side scroller interview, or at least my thoughts on it. I will be honest with you, even up to the present point, I have not watched the full 5.5 hours or whatever the fuck it is. Will I? Yes. Have I watched it all? No. I've watched I think I watched the 2 parts that Snort Burnell put out. And that's probably the extent of it, to be honest. At least at the present point. I kind of want to try to keep my thoughts not tainted, uncorrupted, if you will, for the time being until I'm really ready to kind of bring that out. I will say that I don't know. I didn't have much of an expectation going into it, if I have to be honest with you. But yeah, actually, well, RIP to a lot of people, but there's a little bit more to, we'll tackle that. There's a little bit more to that, to be honest, because a lot of people are being blamed, or there are, let's reword that. There's a lot of usual suspects that are catching the heat, right? But truth be told, it could essentially be anybody, and there's a small group that went after somebody like late last year, earlier this year. Wasn't a good idea, or at least it wasn't a good idea to do it publicly. And that right there ended up kind of screwing their image up leading up to where we're at now. Hence the reason why the outcry, if you will, of any type of retribution to DSP or to anything like that is kind of falling flat. And it probably will continue to do so. No one really cares. The reason why that is because, to be honest, you know, you got to break a couple, you know, if you want to make an omelet, you got to break eggs. We are, I should say. We are at a point where most people want closure. Most people want to see DSP get his up and comings and then to be essentially carried off. For something like that to happen, right? Oh, what's up, Pigsart? Big ups. Big ups to everybody in chat, by the way. But if you want closure, if you want clarification, if you want an end to all of this to happen, if you want DSP to really be held accountable, then some people are going to have to fall to do that. That's just what it comes down to. The situation with Pastor Miller, I like to call that the Detractor Inquisition, that wasn't handled right. To be honest, it was handled actually quite poorly on both sides. That shouldn't have been done publicly. And then the constant milking or trying to turn him into a cow or whatever it was that was trying to be done, that didn't pan out because there was no interest in it. And more importantly than that, it doesn't look good for a community to cannibalize itself like that, whether the person was wrong or not. As far as it, matter of fact, let's go ahead and just, if you guys want, just go ahead and go to that. Oh, I don't have a title for that actually. All right, whatever. We'll keep going. That just wasn't handled. That wasn't handled well, and because of that, other people who may have been sympathetic to what the situation is going on right now are not going to be, because they have no reason to. Because any community that will turn on itself is probably not worth having anyway, to be honest. And that's where the purge comes through, or scorched earth, or whatever you want to call it. More importantly than that, this is part of a much bigger situation. Here, that'll work. This is part of this right here is just another component to a much larger situation, and I don't think that has been taken into account. Unfortunately, all detractors are on borrowed time. It's been like that for a very, very long time. Does everybody get hit? No. Most people have probably had attempts on their channels and it just didn't go through. But it's all essentially a test for what comes later. At the end of the day, DSP is not going to go into the shadow realm quietly. Most detractors have the understanding that, hey, if a channel goes down, you either try to fight for that channel as best you can, or you just start another one and you start again, or you retire, or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? That's a general understanding. This whole thing about wanting to sue and then making threats on Twitter and whatever the case may be on that, like, let's be honest, did that sound like a really good idea to any of you? And this isn't me being an asshole, I'm being honest with you. Did that sound like a good idea? All you did was give DSP all this fucking ammo, right? For something that DSP was plotting to do anyway. Matter of fact, I'm of the theory that DSP was looking at trying to get people out of pocket before the side-scroller interview. Then he found out that people were deeply entrenched. There were people throwing money at them or whatever. He didn't understand, or he didn't know exactly how deep the foothold was, so he couldn't risk it. So because he couldn't risk it at that time, he just waited it out. Now, I know an interesting theory out there is, oh, maybe he was just waiting for his reaction, the React channel or whatever bullshit that is. Fuck that channel and fuck everything that comes with it. And you guys all know that, to be honest. And the fact that he's sitting here, he sat there and pulled a MundaneMatt and decided to go ahead and show his flagging history is crazy. It's crazy that he would do that dumb shit. Because if you were willing to take out Dark Dave Mirrors and probably Raw DSP, who's to say you wouldn't have taken everybody else out? I don't want to hear no bullshit about, oh, I was doing what was in my legal rights and this, that, and the third, and yada, 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 yada. Truth be told, the reason why Dark Dave Mirrors and Raw DSP existed is because people who couldn't interact with you on your platform went to someplace else to do so. To be honest, you can't. An argument could be said, oh, well, they were taking viewership away from him. But truth be told, they weren't. Because the people who were already over there either weren't going to be allowed or who were already cast off anyway. It is what it is. And if it's looked at as an archive type, situation, theoretically there should have been some type of, I don't know, there should have been some type of leniency somewhere in there. But that's neither here nor there in that situation. But by admitting that he took out Dark Dave Mirrors and Raw DSP, you can essentially throw everything on him at that point. And for DSP, to be honest with you, that works out. Because he'll sit there and say, oh, well, I took this out, and you guys can accuse me of whatever you want, but I did this because I thought it was my legal rights. And in actuality, either Superhound, Only Iced Coffee, fucking KG, who the fuck ever can roll around and do essentially whatever they want, and no one's going to be able to say shit about shit, and they're just going to keep throwing it on DSP. And it don't even matter for him, because he's probably bouncing around multiple channels doing his takedowns anyway. So it don't matter there either. At the end of the day, DSP has all the cards essentially in his favor. On top of the fact that with that situation where people were making threats about, oh, there's these guys, these other detractors that are ready to take your channel down, this, that, and the third, DSP has all the shielding he could ever need, on top of the victimhood. Now, I understand you're emotional, you feel like you've gotten fucked over, which a lot of those guys did, and that's the reason why you felt the need to react the way you did on Twitter. But let's go ahead and see the flip side of that. If that was DSP who went out there on Twitter and said, you fucking detractors did this, this, and this, and you guys screwed me over this, this, and this, and now if you guys don't fix this shit, I'm going to go ahead and start taking all your channels down, we would have had him slung up to the highest fucking tree in Galtopia, and he'd be choking right now. And then if he deleted the tweets, we'd call him a coward and a bitch for it. That's all I'm saying. You took a bad situation and you kind of made it worse. And hopefully those guys get to come back or whatever the case may be. But then if you were looking for any wider appeal that was supposed to come from the Side Scroller podcast, where's that going to go? That's all I'm saying. I understand people were upset, but it didn't need to go out like that. That didn't look like you gave DSP all the deniable plausibility that he ever needed. And then on top of that, let's be honest, that DSP reaction channel is going to fail anyway. Who gives a shit? It's going to fail anyway. He doesn't have any real understanding of how to react to content. He doesn't have a sense of humor. He doesn't have any creativity. He can barely even fake it, to be honest. The guy is nothing. And he's gambling, at least the way I see it, he's gambling on DSP React harder than I ever thought he would. This right here is deeper than probably any, 5 or 6 star pull on WWE Champions or whatever is going on that new Street Fighter mobile game. He really has a lot invested into this shit, especially mentally. So with every bit of the failure that's coming about, it hurts him. And then DSP Gaming is suffering at the same time too. It hasn't, I mean, you know what I'm saying? The panic hasn't been this good in a while. All he needs is a little bit of seasoning and then put the fucking lid on him and sweat his ass out a little bit. It doesn't get really any better than this. Because if he fucks himself over on YouTube and let's say it gets demonetized, where's he going to run back to? He's going to run back to Twitch. And I'm wondering if the reason why he hasn't applied to Twitch yet is because he was waiting for his 2-year anniversary when it comes to suspension. Because some Twitch thought just recently came back from a 2-year suspension or whatever the case may be. But she actually got suspended. She didn't get demonetized. So I don't know if DSP is waiting for that. I don't know what the case is going to be. But DSP's already boxed in. If he loses monetization on YouTube, what does he got? To be honest, what does he got? And in this day and age, if you guys pay attention to other communities, you kind of know what I'm talking about. In this day and age, you don't have to take down a channel anymore. It's so much easier just to get somebody demonetized. It's so much quicker to do that shit. You see that in the Amberlynn community and in the Chantel community. Yeah, they'll try to take you down or whatever, but for the most part, they're trying to get you demonetized because they think, oh, well, you only do this for profit. If you can't make no money off me, you'll leave me alone, which is silly, to be honest with you. Not everybody works that way. But whatever, go with what you go with. And they're hoping to do that, and it very rarely works. It very rarely works. And as one detractor falls, or as detractor, troll, hater, or critic, 4 or 5 more will show up in its stead. Just in the feed on this channel, I've seen like 4 or 5 people that I don't know or that I don't recognize. You know what I'm saying? So it I don't know. It wasn't played well. It wasn't played well at all. So if DSP tried to take down people to try to give himself a better look for side scrollers, whether now or in the future, or whether he was trying to protect DSP React, it's stupid. It's stupid as fuck. It's dumb as hell. He failed on both fronts, so it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. So it is what it is. He's boxed in such a way that you'll never, you could, I don't know. It doesn't get any better than this, I don't think, to be honest with you. But I will also say this. If you guys want to see real results, right? If you really want to see him be held accountable, there's going to be collateral damage. That's just the way that is. And it's unfortunate, but that's how shit's going to get done. Just being honest. Just to be honest with you. Anyway, as it pertains to the side scroller interview itself, I mean, Craig did a good job with keeping shit on topic. Adam, I think was his wingman. Definitely kept the pressure on, and more importantly, he sowed doubt. Let's reword that. Adam represents all people, I think, who has common sense. The one thing that DSP thinks he can overcome if he can throw enough bullshit at you, right? So theoretically, what you saw Adam do, what makes anybody think that situation couldn't happen with Moist Critical? What makes you think any of that couldn't happen with Mutahar or anybody else? You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's where DSP looks all broken and busted down and everything now. Is that DSP realizes whatever intelligence he thinks he has, whatever bullshit sob story that the detractors fucked over this and fucked over that he thought he had, means jack shit. So, fuck it. Like you know what I'm saying? So screw it over. Like, it doesn't mean anything. You know, he can't win, and he had to sit there and just deal with it. And then I don't know what was going on with this autistic head nodding that was going on throughout that interview. I don't know if he was trying to convey that he was paying attention. He kind of came across as someone who was just waiting to talk, right? More than if he was listening. I don't know what that was, but that right there just proves the kind of awkward, dent-like behavior that detractors have been saying about him for a while. To be honest with you, normal people don't have to keep nodding at everything that's posed to them. It seems offsetting, if that makes sense. So there was that, amongst other things. But if to truth be told, if Adam didn't keep up the pressure, or keep on the pressure, I should say, I think he's a big part of why it worked out. Like I said, Craig was being pointed with his questions. That's true, and he was trying to keep everything on. He was trying to keep everything on pace. But if not for Adam, it doesn't work out the way it did, to be honest. And with that being said, and no disrespect to side scrollers, but to be honest with you, you could put 2 or 3 detractors in their position. Anybody with common sense, don't use me, but somebody with common sense, and you can make that happen. So I think honestly that same shit could happen, to be honest. I mean, they picked decent questions, to be honest with you. They didn't have to go into super deep lore, but they picked shit that I think is hard to explain away. I'll give you one thing and then we'll move on. His DSP's pathetic attempt at deflecting the racism over the go ahead and pack her up and send her off to the slave trade. You could tell very clearly, I think, that when they had brought that up, he wanted to see if they would inject race in before he was forced to do so. And they didn't. You know what I'm saying? They made him explain the situation, but he was prepared for details. Because of that, he fucked himself. And then when he sat there and said, "Oh, wait. Well, you said race. I didn't look at it that way." Fuck you and fuck everything that comes with. Tell me how you didn't look at that white dude and that black chick and that supposed corrupt cop, and the first thing that didn't come to your mind was fucking race. Tell me that, Phil. If not, are you sitting here making light of white slavery? Are you making light of young women, or not even just young women, young girls who are abducted or kidnapped every day, and that are sold off into slavery, sold into sex dens and all this other bullshit? Are you condoning that? So because of DSP's ignorance, right? Because he don't know shit out of his own bubble, now you're caught in a really bad situation. Oh, black people being sold into slavery? Or white slavery? Or white slavery? Which one are you gonna choose, Phil? And it never even crossed his mind. He thought he could really pigsplain himself out of this fucking situation when both situations are bad. Color or not, or race or not, or whatever the case may be. Either way, it was bad. It was really fucking bad. And just admit that you're a fucking dumbass and you try to make light of a situation because I guess back in the 80s or the 90s or whatever the fuck, that shit used to be funny. I guess. I suppose. I don't know what neighborhood he was in where that was allowed to happen. But then again, I don't know. I'm not familiar with too many neighborhoods where dudes don't know how to ride their bikes because they're scared of the stationary motherfuckers that are running around the corners, or dudes who can't swim, or I don't know too many people who fall in that category either, to be honest. Sorry. That's not something that's completely equated to me. You know what I'm saying? I know plenty of people who didn't grow up next to pools or any bodies of water, and they at least learned how to ride a bike. But whatever. That's me being an asshole. So that was a dumb look. To be honest, that was pretty stupid. And it flopped, and it flopped bad. But make of that what you will. Alright, so the aftermath. Let's talk about that. So in the aftermath of this side scroller's interview, Keem apparently was in talks with a group of people, hoping to try to negotiate or get a documentary going on pay pigs or whatever the case may be. I gotta be honest with you, I don't know where they thought they were going to go with that, being that SuprCrzy, who I know is no longer with us right now, SuprCrzy has How to Catch a Pay Pig series. The majority of the information, the majority of the footwork would have just came from there. On top of that, what pay pig is willingly going to come out of their pocket and speak to Keem or speak to any detractor for that matter on why they give money to DSP? To be honest with you, for that, you could easily just go ahead and go to Agent Proper, right? And I think it's Shiru. And then you could go ahead and have them interview pay pigs and then just grab the information off that. You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't even know where that was going to even go, to be honest with you. Like, if you want to make a full-fledged documentary on DSP, like with Keem's resources, if you want to fly out there to Connecticut and actually see if you can speak to that man's parents and do all that bullshit, that's one thing. I'm not saying that I condone all that, but if that's one thing. But the way that it was being kind of sold, I guess, I don't know where that was going to go, and it probably wasn't going to go anywhere. And I think Keem already saw that. And if you're Keem, and I think this was what was missed amongst that group. Keem is still trying to get DSP in the pocket. That's what Keem's end goal is to get DSP into pocket. Keem wants him on that fucking show, and he wants him to dance. To be honest. And what Keem will do is what Keem has always done. He will touch any and every fucking nerve he can until he can get someone to do what they want. Or do what he wants. Period. That's always been what Keem's motive and situation is. And Keem's not going to give up on it because it is $1 million idea. It's a short-term type of idea, but it's $1 million type of situation. And then on top of that, for the individuals who were trying to get themselves invested in it, I mean, are you planning on getting points on that project? Let's be honest. I'm not being a dick. I'm asking an actual question. Let's say that they were able to get an interview type of situation going. Cool. Are any of those detractors that were trying to be involved in that, are they going to get points on that? What are you bringing to the table that makes it worthwhile for you to get points? Now, just in case, let me be clear on this. Points is a percentage, right? But it's a documentary, yet again. And not to say a documentary can't be profitable, but Keem is using that, yet again, as essentially ammo to go ahead and get DSP to do what he wants. And Keem will go after anybody and everybody in DSP's vicinity to make that happen. So I don't even know if some of the people who were thinking about this even saw things from Keem's from Keem's side of it, from the spectrum that Keem's working on. Keem has time, he has resources, right? And he can raise capital fast. But he's not going to go ahead and devote himself to some type of little project without there being some real payoff. And the real payoff is, yet again, getting Phil on that fucking podcast and get his ass dancing. That's what it comes down to. And as I told you guys, with this whole boxing match situation, we'll talk about that in a minute. Yet again, this is just another way of building up to that podcast. Because other than that, what good is Boogie and what good is Wings on their own? They're nothing. It's good to see you guys too. So what's the point of all that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I really want you to take that into consideration. What's really going to come out of all of that? You know, if you guys have been paying attention to Wings as of late, he keeps flip-flopping on, oh, I'm going to be able to beat Boogie, no problem, to, oh, I know I'm going to lose, but I'm just there for the money. He don't even know what the fuck he talking about no more. And then I saw a little bit of Keem's footage of when they were in Wings' house, and it's just like what I imagined it was. It was watching a fucking land whale sitting on his fucking chair and shit. His wife doing everything, Kelly, doing everything she can to be essentially the dutiful wife and be accompanying and all that. And Wings just sitting there like a slob, to be honest with you. And that's all that fucking, Keemstar looks at him anyway. He's just a slab of meat. And whoever he can get the bite, he can get the bite. Now you got Wings out here talking this crazy shit about how him and Boogie's fight may very well be the biggest fight on that card. I think he overvalued himself because, yet again, Boogie and Wings fall into a niche type audience. Same thing with DSP. There is no wider appeal. If you want proof of that, let me tie back into the end of the aftermath of that interview. I don't know about you, but Craig seemed more and more cautious with who he was interacting with after that interview. He didn't seem so buddy as the scheme was making out to be. He still seemed he had like a lot of distance or whatever. Because one, he doesn't really understand what he's into. And two, whatever it is, he really isn't interested in staying there in the long term. Craig did what I told you he would do. He's going to use this to boost the show, and then he's going to edge himself back. If you can go ahead and get another interview out of DSP, great. And he may still get that. But he's not going to want to get tied to this shit. He doesn't want his brand to be tied to this shit. He don't want any of that. It's already too much. And I don't know what the lead up was as it pertains to people sending him information and all of that. I have no clue. But I could assume that it was probably a bit overwhelming. And then more importantly, and this is something that Craig pointed out over and over again leading up to the podcast and even afterwards, or the interview, and then leading afterwards. How many of you are going to stick around after I'm done talking with DSP or talking about DSP? How many of you are going to stick around and try to enjoy the content, the other content that we put out? That's what his focus was. And when he saw that there wasn't a lot of people biting, then he already knew. He already knew what value that was there. So despite all those detractors who were throwing out money and this, that, and the third, or whatever, long term, I should say, it didn't mean anything. He's not going to get moved by short-term money. He's looking at a long-term investment. And that right there, he didn't see it. So he's pretty comfortable where he's at, I think, to be honest. On top of that, and I just found this out, Craig has a clipping channel for his side scrollers. That was a missed opportunity to not put, some of those clips over there. But whatever, build one channel up at a time. So it is what it is. I don't know if the aftermath to that interview was worthwhile. To be honest with you, I'm kind of teetering on the idea that because we lost some good people. We lost Dark Dave Mirrors, we lost Raw DSP, we lost Outsider, we're losing Snort Burnell, we lost Mighty D, we lost SuprCrzy, amongst others. I would give that interview back and everything that came with it to get them back. That's just me. I don't feel that it was worth it, because that interview didn't confirm anything to any of us that we didn't already know, except for that bullshit that DSP said at the end of that interview about how Catherine had a fucking restraining order or whatever the case may be. I haven't seen enough fucking evidence about that either which way. But more importantly than that, as a man, why would you put your wife's information out there when you spend all day talking about, oh, I got to try to protect my wife, I got to try to protect my son, I don't have time for all this bullshit. But yet you threw that out there because of what? Was that supposed to be the big gouty swing that was supposed to sway Stuttering Craig and Adam to be like, oh wow, she had a restraining order? Oh, that's terrible. What the fuck do they care about that? I don't give a fuck about that. So how the fuck are they gonna care? So none of that meant anything. None of that meant anything, to be honest with you. But yet again, if you want confirmation, then you have to give something up for that. You had to give something up for that. And so when you get into this Detractor Purge situation, I think it's just one peg in a long line. This is far from over, ladies and gentlemen. At the end of the day, it's going to be scorched earth. That's what this is going to be. Everybody's going to, quote unquote, everybody's going to have to go. If you guys really want DSP out of pocket, if you really want to see him have a fucking 9-to-5 job and not have any real presence on the internet or not have any real way to keep siphoning money or whatever, there's going to have to be some people that are going to have to fall with him. And I don't think any of you are ready for that, because none of you expect that to happen. You know what I'm saying? And that right there is what really needs to come into play, to be honest with you. And that's something that I understand people are like, oh, it doesn't need to be taken too seriously, whatever the case may be. We're past that now. We're past that now. That whole point and laugh situation, which is essentially the edict or the tomes or whatever, we're past that too. We were past that when we started eating each other. So now, this is what this situation is. And this is what's going to happen moving forward. And it's not ideal. You know what I'm saying? Because if it's not fun no more, then people are going to start walking away. But, you know what I'm saying? That is what it is. It's not even about DSP not being relevant anymore. It just goes, if nothing else, the side scroller interview showed me that DSP could never get back into a quote unquote mainstream type situation. Those days are long gone. They're over. And that's fine. If you don't feel that Miller, alive and well in Israel, if you don't think Miller was one of you guys, then that's all well and good. That didn't need to be handled that way, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, let let anybody who you guys consider undesirables, I'm not saying that you said that, but you know what I mean. anybody who you feel that is not really part of you or undesirables or whatever you want to call them, then you let them burn out on their own. You let them burn out on their own. To sit there and to wage this campaign for months on end and all of that, you guys, not you guys, but people were so invested in how crazy Miller looked, right? Or how they attempted to make him look, or whatever the case may be, that people forgot what they looked like. You know what I'm saying? People forgot how does that reflect on them. If you guys are the bigger detractors, right? Or if you're the bigger content creators, or you're the more talented content creators, or whatever the case may be, then why not just let him fade out? Just why not just let him burn out? You know what I mean? So, and that's the point that I'm trying to make. At the end of the day, you're going to make the moves that you're going to make. You do what you feel that you need to do. With every move that you make, you should always make your next move your best move. And I think that right there was not the best move in the long term. I don't think people really looked at the optics and what happened. And that right there is similar that happens in other communities. And I'm not saying that, oh, we need to be the gold standard of these low-cal communities or whatever. That's great, but no. At the end of the day, all of us are dirty. All of us have dirt on us and shit. No one's gonna walk out of this clean. But that didn't need to happen. Like, it didn't need to happen that way. Like, you know what I'm saying? Whatever accusations or whatever it was that he brought up or whatever the case may be, you know what I'm saying? I got that. Speak your piece and then let that go. Because then it just dragged you guys into all this shit. And now, let's say, for example, let me use myself for example, right? Because I get shitted on anyway, so who gives a fuck, right? What happens if I decide to go at one of your boys? So, Alive and Well from Israel. Let me talk to you directly for a minute. What if who's your favorite detractor right now, or who's a detractor that you look up to? Like, you know, or anybody can say anything. Doesn't matter. Just, you know, not just you. I don't mean to point you out. But anybody, who is it that you enjoy right now, that you look up to, or just whose content that you really fuck with right now? Okay, so I see Shinko, I see Meerkat. All right, bet. We'll just use Meerkat. Tevin. All right, bet. So what happens if I come out one day and I see and I say, I don't follow Shinko like that. I don't know. Let's say that I pick anything about Shinko when I decide to go at him. Let's say I'm like, you know what? He did this thing here, and I don't think that was the best move, man. You know, to be honest with you, I'm not sitting here calling him an asshole. I'm not calling him a dickhead. I'm not calling him stupid. I'm just saying, hey, that wasn't a great move. I don't think that was a good move. I think he's smarter than that, and I think he could have addressed that situation differently. Now, let's say that either yourself or someone else was in a Discord, and they were like, yo, did you hear what GTG said about Shinko? And they bring that shit to you, and you're like, oh, wow. Damn. All right, well, that can't stand, and we got to go after him. I can explain myself all I want, but if you don't fuck with what I said, you don't fuck with what I said. Cool. How far are you going to go to... How far are you going to go to make your point? And, more importantly, what are you willing to sacrifice to make set point? That's the thing. Or that being said, right? That's TBS, right? Let's say that being said, what if I took shots at them? What if I took actual shots at them, right? You know, like real criticism. I don't have any, but if I did, let's say I had some real criticism about them, and I took some shots at them on a stream or in a video or whatever the case may be, right? And you feel a certain type of way about that shit. Do you either let it go as the rambling of some asshole that you didn't really fuck with no way, or you're going to be like, yo, we got to take him out and we're going to do anything to do it, or we're going to go through whatever to do so? If so, do you? My question is, what are you willing to give up to make that happen? That's what I'm saying about the Miller situation. If that's someone that you don't fuck with, then why waste the time? Why put all that effort behind it and do it publicly? You know what I'm saying? And do that publicly. What's going to come from that? You know what I'm saying? Take your initial shot, you know, whatever the case may be, whatever. But then for it to just drag on the way it did, it was what came out of that. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. Like, what came out of that? And that's a fair point. Okay, maybe he should have conducted himself differently. Maybe he woulda, coulda, shoulda. And yet again, someone's right. That's the nature of the community. That's the nature of all communities. You're absolutely right. And don't get me wrong, I'm not sitting here telling anybody, oh, well, you know, hey, shit needs to change. People are going to do what they want. Because there have been plenty of detractors who took shots at other detractors and everybody let it go. Or a detractor does something, no one really fucks with it, another detractor does it, and then everybody's like, oh yeah, that's great. So yeah, you're right, that's the nature of the beast. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that, full-fledged. But here's the problem. Now, where some of these detractors could really use a lot, let me word this. Where a lot of, right now, it could really be helpful that detractors had some people that were outside the community that could speak up to their character and really try to push the narrative with YouTube that, hey, this situation needs to be fixed. And it's going to be very hard for people to do so when they see how we were acting amongst ourselves already. You know what I'm saying? I guess that's the overall point that I'm trying to make. That right there is what long-term thinking is. If I sit here and I take shots at every fucking detractor moving, when I get into some shit, I don't expect anybody to come to my side, because why would they? At the same time, right? If this is really a community and you guys are really thinking about it in the long term, then we need to conduct ourselves as such, or it should be looked at as such. But that's neither here. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's neither here or there. There's been infighting happens in every community. The difference is, at least in some communities, some people know how to close ranks and settle some shit behind the scenes and then just cast it off. You know what I mean? And just let it go. Because the more energy you're putting there and whatever you think you're doing to him or her and bringing them down or whatever the case may be, how does that make you look? How does that make some of the other people around you look? That's the thing. You know what I'm saying? That's the long term. And then what happens if some of the people that you're supporting turns out to be on some fuckery shit themselves? Then what? You know what I'm saying? So let me use myself as an example. Let's say I'm off here, I'm doing my thing, it is what it is, right? And then I get caught up in some copyright strikes or this, that, and the third, and I decide to make a community post, or I go on Twitter or whatever the case may be, and I say, hey, I'm in a fucked up spot, yada, 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 can anybody help me out with this? And then you guys find out later, well, damn, dude, did you know GTG has been fucking flagging people behind the scenes and shit? Did you know that he was like going after fucking smaller content creators? Did you know that he was taking shots at other people or whatever? That shit's gonna make people look crazy. This is a hypothetical thing, by the way. But you know what I'm saying? So even under those situations, you got to think about it. And here's the thing. Okay, so someone just brought up SOK as a prime example. SOK is not a group. You have to think about this now. SOK is not a group. It's an idea. That's what that is. That's why it never was able to quote unquote die out. SOK has transitioned being a bunch of people who fucking had a community in a fucking stranglehold and all the bullshit that came with it. SOK is looked at in other communities as an idea. It's what happens when a community needs to get straightened up. And that's why a lot of SOK tactics are used in other places. And that shit's crazy. Like, that shit's really fucking crazy how that shit is done. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to name the community because they cleaned that shit up recently. Alright, I'll say this. There was a community that I was following for a little bit. And shit was getting out of pocket. Shit was getting really, really out of pocket. There was a lot of bullshit infighting. There was a lot of people that felt that the pay pig or the lolcow in general needed to be directed in a certain direction. They were trying to cut pay pigs off at the knees. It was wild. And the mere utterance of the word SOK was enough for people to be like, okay, start the purge. Either you get down or you lay down. And that's essentially what happened until basically cooler heads prevailed and then they got rid of it. And you see that in a bunch of different communities. The commentator community has brought that shit up at one time or another. Amberlynn's community has said some silly shit on one occasion or another. That shit's been taught. Dude, their name comes up over there in the Christian community every once in a while. That shit isn't just here. It transitions that. Mundane GTG. I kind of like that. Even though I didn't flag nobody. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's SOK is an idea. It's not a group anymore. It's transitioned that. But yet again, then that goes back to the criticism argument. Are any of us above criticism? Because going back to my argument, if I took shots at whoever, that being said, Meerkat, whoever you want, are you guys going to say, oh, that's SOK 2.0? Are you going to say I'm gatekeeping? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, where do you want to go with that? You know what I'm saying? And as a community, you should be able to express opinions, and you should be able to express opinions, and that shouldn't be a thing. But then again, maybe that's not necessarily realistic, because yet again, that happens in all communities. And there was a lot of shit that a lot of detractors did at one time or another that came across wrong, and at least at the time. But now that I look back at some of those situations, I understand. Let me give you an example. There was a time, it's been some years now, when Panda Lee came back on Twitter, and there was some small talk going around, so on and so forth. And one person stood up and said, leave her alone. If you don't, I'm going to send such and such after you, and you will be dealt with. Now, that person wasn't in a position to send anybody to really do anything. And making a threat like that was probably, not even probably, it was a bit over the top. But I understood what they were trying to do. They were like, Panda was no longer a part of this shit. Leave her be. She doesn't need the harassment, or whatever the case may be. He was trying to look at the community in the long term and in the overall. Because if the optics are, oh, we're going after DSP's ex, and she's not a part of this, and she ain't doing shit, how does that make us look? You know what I'm saying? So how he did it, or how they did it, definitely wasn't the right way to go about it. But I understand what they were trying to do, or I understand what was done. And they had enough respect back then that they could have said, hey guys, let's not make this happen, and let's not do it this way. And I think he would have gotten a much better, or they may have gotten a much better result. But yet again, it was the heat of the moment, and whatever the case may be, people are people, it is what it is. But there's long-term consequences to that. He was a person, or they were a person, sorry. I don't know if they were he or she or not, so I'm just going to say that. Who had a lot of respect on Twitter. They had a lot of respect on Twitter. You know what I mean? So to see all of that kind of fall apart was a thing. But it's neither here nor there. Yeah, Phil's taking advantage of fucking Panda. Of course he did. DSP takes advantage of everybody who's in his vicinity. And how do you expect anything different when that's all he knows? He doesn't look at people as people. If you do not serve a fucking purpose, you are in the fucking way. Period. There is no redeemable qualities. There is no getting past that. There is no overstating that. If you're not serving a purpose, you're in the fucking way. And that'll never change. So what I'm saying is, to close this out, there was mistakes made on both sides of that Detractor Inquisition thing. But the repercussions of that have trickled down to this very day. That's the thing. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. That stuff right there has trickled down. Because you don't know who's paying attention to what. And there's a lot of people who watch a lot of shit, who watch a lot of different people and watch a lot of stuff. So it's very hard to judge who's paying attention to what. You should just assume everything you're doing is being watched and being taken into account. That's really all I'm saying. Like, be careful how you're maneuvering. No, you're okay, and you're right. You will. First off, who wants to interact with Phil at this point anyway? But you're not to discount that. You're right. You can't have any interaction with him. And he was gonna. Why were anybody surprised that people started to go down? DSP is in a position now greater than any position he's ever been as it pertains to YouTube and as it pertains to his detractors. Is the algorithm really going to open up to him? You know what I'm saying? No. To be honest with you, is he going to really get any foothold into anything? No. But his ego is slowly but surely being satisfied, if you will. Because he can go ahead and look on Twitter. He can have his little minions, his little Gaudi Gestapo come to him and say, hey, there's all this nonsense is going on over there. And shit, and people are really upset, this, that, and the third. And he's getting a glee out of it. His ego is being appeased. DSP could be in a fucking cardboard box. And as long as he knows that his opposition is hurting, even in the smallest bit, like my dumbass, like if I stub my toe or some shit, he's going to take some glee in that. Because that's what kind of resentful piece of shit he is. It's just what he is. There is no, you know what I'm saying? There's no redeemable qualities to it. There is no getting through to him. There is no passing on any knowledge or wisdom to him. His parents already failed at that. So what do you think the internet was going to do? DSP does something, DSP gets clapped, DSP learns. But DSP's so damn resentful that he needs to get his clap back. He needs to get his get back. That's how he's always been. It's how he always will be. You can't change that. So, for example, if he sat there and he flagged a bunch of people, what are you really going to do about it? This is not me being an asshole. I'm asking a question. What are you really going to do about it? There's not really much you can do. Detractors who came in from previous generations or whatever, they wouldn't have made that move. And they're definitely not going to ask him to remove shit. You know what it was? Here, let me be honest with you. You know what DSP was going through DSP's mind when people were like, "Hey, can you please talk to YouTube? Can you do this? Can you do that?" That was chronic masturbation resuscitation. That's what it was for his ego. It was chronic masturbation resuscitation. It was all he ever needed. Oh, you guys who make money off of me. Oh, you guys who get the laugh and you get all the big content creators who want your content and acknowledge you. Now you guys have to come to me for help? Oh yeah, peasant, serf, slave. I'll go ahead and give you help. Sure I will. Sure I will. I'll do that for you. I'm putting the message into YouTube right now. Now, how many of you followed the MundaneMatt situation back in the day? MundaneMatt did the exact same shit. Exactly, a power trip. MundaneMatt did the exact same shit. When Ralph brought him on the Ralph retort, I'm gonna go over that video. I'm gonna revisit that bitch and everything that came after it. When MundaneMatt was invited onto the kill stream, this was right after they had caught all these strikes and shit, right? MundaneMatt came up there and he's like, "Man, you guys are up here talking a lot of shit, you know, while I'm taking care of my wife's daughter. What's the problem? I'm just out here getting boulders." Well, hey Matt, a lot of people think that you may have been behind this and you have probable cause. Hey man, I don't know what's going on. All I know is there's someone out there who's fucking around and who's striking all these people because they know that people hate me. And they know that if people, you know, if someone strikes these channels, they're going to automatically assume me because people hate me. And I don't understand why people hate me, but I don't understand why I'm being blamed either. I didn't do anything. I swear on my kids. I mean on my wife's kids. I didn't do nothing. I was a good boy. I did nothing. I did nothing. And they didn't believe him. What they did is they lulled him into Gaudi Viper. Exactly. That's the reason why we call him the Gaudi Viper. He thought he could lull them into a false sense where he could walk himself off that podcast thinking that he was going to be okay. Even when Ralph was like, "Well, hey, if you didn't do this and these people are really impersonating you, you can, you know, send a message to YouTube saying, hey, I would appreciate it if you could. That's not me. That's not me who's flagging these people. Can you fix this?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll work on it right now." Matt was sitting there jerking himself off, like, "Oh yeah, Ralph, yeah, I'm gonna do it right now. Andy Worski needs help too. Oh yeah, I'll do it for Andy Worski right now too. Oh, does Tonka and Failure need help? Oh, I got them too. Yeah, absolutely. Which one of those guys called me a pedophile? Oh, it doesn't matter. I can help them. Sure. I got them all day. Yeah. And what did MundaneMatt really do? He knew jack shit. And then when that link got sent to him to showing his flag history, we go into 15 or 20 minutes of fucking stalling. And then all of a sudden, you guys see one page. And I've said it then, and I'll say it now. If Ralph was not fucking drinking, we would have found everything that fucking MundaneMatt had flagged. We would have got it all. We didn't because Ralph wasn't on the fucking ball. Because we would have found so much more there. Or what about when they when Medicare brought up Dame Pesos? What about that? You guys remember that, right? Oh, that guy Dame Pesos, the guy who did the Soyless Matt show. Well, if it was, shouldn't they call me the soy-filled Matt or whatever the situation is? Because I'm so beta male, full of soy and shit. That's why I cry over a fucking YouTube play button and whatever. And he's like, oh, I didn't flag him. I watched some of his videos just to see how much of my material he uses. I mean, just to see what he's talking about. Ralph calls him out and says, what do you mean see how much material he's using? What the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, dude, I didn't flag him. I swear to God, I didn't flag him. He's an idiot. I didn't flag him. Oh, well, did you flag him on Twitter? Did you get his tweets flagged? Oh, no, I didn't do that either. Why would I do that? I don't care about that guy. As soon as that shit comes up, Dame Pesos. All over that bitch. Never saw so much goddamn fucking salsa being thrown around that bitch. It's crazy. That's all that shit was. Talking about I was out there with my wife's daughter collecting fucking boulders and all that bullshit. Fuck up out of here. Lied to them for the better part of an hour and shit. And then, just like the DSP situation, Keemstar comes up there and says, oh, Ralph, he flagged your channel. He ragged your channel. You know what? Fucking Keemstar, fuck yourself. Get the fuck up out of here. I didn't call the FBI on you. Yada, 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 yada. Then come to find out, Matt did do it. So it makes you wonder, did Matt call the FBI on fucking Keem? Over a little bullshit spat on Twitter? Did that not happen? We'll never know. And we'll never know the full extent of what MundaneMatt or what Matt flagged because he's probably eliminated the majority of that now. But then more importantly, just like DSP did recently, Matt was like, yeah, I flagged this down, but it didn't go down. You can see it's still there. But he still flagged it. He still attempted to flag it. I told another detractor recently, I had a notice that came through YouTube saying that a release or a claim on one of your videos has been released. I even went back and tried to find the original email that said that there was a claim. I went ahead and talked to my peoples and was like, hey, do you guys remember seeing this? And they didn't. So that means someone put a flag on or try to claim a video and then retracted it later. Or when DSP showed you his flagging history, he released most of his flags. And then, because that shit doesn't just release your video right the fuck away. It takes time for shit like that to happen. And that's just me suspecting. Because I have claims for other shit too. That's just, I've done silly shit. So, you know what I'm saying? Music, fucking, all kinds of other crap. So there's a bunch of stuff that goes into a situation like that. The MundaneMatt situation was no different than what DSP did. It was no different. The only difference is DSP's net was not cast as wide as it was with, with MundaneMatt. There was a bunch of different people from a bunch of different communities that had to deal with Matt's bullshit. Comic book community, Star Wars, as well as other shit. You know what I'm saying? Because Matt was getting into shit with everybody. And then the leaked Discord conversations where he was shitting on everybody and all of that. But here's my point, because I'm going off on a tangent. The initial MO or the initial MO that MundaneMatt did to flag people is not too much different on how DSP did. It really isn't. And if someone went ahead, I mean, it doesn't matter now because Rich has probably cleaned that up. But back when Rich was flagging people left and fucking right, I bet you it ain't too different. I bet when Susie Lou, which I got a video, I'm working on a video for that too. When Susie Lou was going around flagging people over dumb shit, I'm sure it wasn't much different either. This flagging shit has fucking levels to it. It has levels. And then, do you guys remember a situation when Ann Leet got hit the first time? When he got hit the first time, there was a guy named Sallow Dawn, I think is his name. He He had gone back and forth with Low Tier God for a really long time. He also went back and forth with people in the Christian community because he saw bullshit and he called it out. Anyway, he made a video not too long after Ann Leet's original channel went down, and he had posed 3 theories on why he thought or what could have happened for Ann Leet's channel to go down. And one of them was that that it's possible that other detractors had actually taken Ann down. Now, I remember Ann Leet going into that comment section and trying to, I wouldn't say damage control, but he tried to be like, no, I don't think that's the case. You know, these claims match up with claims from another person. I don't have the full details, so I'm trying to go off the dome. Here's the point. The idea was already put out there. Now, I'm not saying that Salodon did that on purpose. He's seen the Wings community. He's seen other communities, so he put out what he thought seemed reasonable to him. Here's the point. The thought is out there. The idea is out there, and you can't kill an idea. So now, there's talks, at least from what I've been told, that some detractors are out there being like, well, why hasn't he been hit? Or why aren't they hit? Why is this person hit? Why is that person hit? All that is fear. You keep everybody scared, and you keep everybody questioning why other people aren't going down and I'm not going down, and they'll consume themselves. It works perfect. It works absolutely perfect. How many people watched that video? Like 9,000 people? I'm not trying to put any heat on that guy. I'm just saying. But 9,000 people plus watched that video? You can't make that go away. You can't dispel that. And then the detractor community has had a pretty fucked up kind of history when it comes to going after its own. It's been like that. You can't make shit like that go away. You know what I'm saying? It's an idea. You can't expel that. Exactly. Devour. You keep everybody scared. You keep counting everybody, not segregated, separated, and kind of questioning everybody else, and eventually they'll consume each other sooner than later. The ones who really don't care will pick up and walk or start over. Everybody else who's really invested in this shit, they're gonna have to start questioning the people around them. And even if they're not actually saying anything, they think it. And the way you think will come out in your behavior. So if you're someone who shitted on another detractor and then something happens to you, it's going to make you wonder, well, damn, was it that detractor who I made fun of? Or I made light of something that they were doing? What was it? Just saying. Just saying. So there's that. We can talk more about that later on. But the situation is deeper than what you think. And I think the idea, it's easy to accuse. It's easy to accuse whoever. But you have to be able to see past some of that. You have to be able to look at the bigger picture. It's very easy to go ahead and narrow down to this one, to this one person because they have a history of doing it. Or to this one person right here because they're known for doing it. Or this thing over here. And don't get me wrong, I saw the thing with that one former member of SOK who DSP had, one of his videos or a couple of his videos was in DSP's flag history. So I saw that, and I don't think, yet again, anybody's surprised. It's nice to have confirmation, but at what cost? At what cost was it that you got confirmation about a video that got flagged like 7 years ago or whatever it was? You know what I'm saying? I'm just something to keep in mind. Okay. Oh no, you're right, and you're right. DSP will always need someone. Loophole, thank you. DSP is always going to need an enemy, right? He's always going to need an enemy, absolutely. And matter of fact, in that video that I just said, the Shallow Dawn video, he said, and he was right at that time, that DSP hasn't gone after, or he said DSP wouldn't go after any of the restreaming channels because he looked at it as publicity, and he was right. He was right about that. But now but years later, what happened? Or a few years later, whatever the case may be. That was not even a few years later. That was like, I don't want to open up closed wounds. But I think that was like 10 months ago when that happened. When that first purge happened, Tevin and all these guys kind of got caught up in it. So we're talking about 10 months. And 10 months, DSP was sitting there plotting against Raw DSP and Dark Dave Mirrors under the idea that, they're not a threat to me, this, that, and the third. You know, they're not really going to bother, you know, they're working for me, no problem. But those were the first two channels those are the main channels he hit. Those are the main channels DSP went after. Just something. All right, next. Let's go to the next subject. Oh boy. Oh yeah, he took them both down. He took down Dark Day Mirrors and he took down Raw DSP. I guarantee it. He took them both down. He took them both down. And I understand that people are talking about like how, oh, this says DSP or this says DSP Gaming or this says Darksydephil or whatever the case may be. I'm not saying that DSP is the one taking everybody down, but he knows who's doing it, or he at least has an idea and he's participating himself. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And this is the best time ever, because after coming off of that side scroller interview and seeing how much of a fucking idiot he looked, even though he kept preaching that, oh, it went great and they didn't take advantage of me and I don't feel like I was mistreated or whatever, which is funny because didn't Craig say in one of those emails, not the fake one that was sent out, it was in one of the correspondence with DSP after the interview, that DSP said, "Oh, if I come back on there, I don't want Adam to be up there." Did I mishear that, or did that happen? I swore he said that if I, next time I come back on side scrollers, I don't want Adam to be there. Or am I wrong? What's up, Jesse? I could be wrong, but I'm pretty confident he said he didn't want Adam up there. The next time he was in, it was in I want to say it was in, like how Craig has like those personal streams that he does. It's on another playlist. I thought he said something about it in that. I'll look. So take that with a grain of salt, like anything else I say. Until I find it. If I find it between now and the next stream, then we'll go from there. But I'm pretty sure he said something in that, and he said something in an email saying that he didn't want that to happen. No, Craig wouldn't have done it. But I think I'm pretty sure that DSP asked him the next time he goes up there to not have Adam up there, which shows his fear of Adam, because he was scared. Like Adam, he definitely intimidated me. But if you're someone who was a liar and you based everything, and your word has to carry the weight of everything that you do in your entire existence, someone like Adam's going to scare you. Because let's be honest, Adam didn't really have kid gloves with him. He kind of, if anything, he kind of posted on him straight up every single time. And DSP had a harder and harder time dealing with it. So, so like I said, take that with a grain of salt. But if anybody was willing to look, it's gonna be in one of Craig's like solo streams. He has a playlist for that. Or it's in one of the interviews right after, or is in one of his big streams after Side Scrollers, after the interview itself. I'll look, because I swore because he was reading off an email and whatnot, and of how him and DSP felt or whatever. So I gotta look. And I want to say it was right before DSP had his bitch fit and did his counter stream talking about how I've got dirt on you and Adam, and I can't believe you guys did this to me, and all that other bullshit. So I'll look. I will look. Let's see here. Beat your demons. That would have made a good shirt, honestly. That would have made a really good shirt. Anywho, all right. Next on the docket. I'm trying to speed run this. It wasn't supposed to be this long. Wingsofredemption Vs Boogie. As you know, it's a $10,000 payday for both of them. I'll be honest with you. I thought Wings would have pulled out of that bitch by now. Because he clearly don't want to fight, and he's clearly trying to. If you've been watching your Breaking Banquets or your Lummox videos, big ups to both of them, you know that Wings is just trying to talk up a big game, and he clearly don't want to fight. He clearly don't. And I know recently he said he wants to fight DSP, which I understand why he wants to do it, because it's an easy win and they can both profit from it, because there is a demand for DSP to get his ass beat in a fucking ring. That's what Keem's idea is with Boogie and Wings of Redemption in the first place. There's a demand from a niche audience to see these two fight it out and try to beat each other up. Not actually hurt each other, but to beat each other up. The problem is, both of them are so heavy in weight anyway that they've already beat each other up. So what's the point? The equivalent of Wings of Redemption and Boogie fighting is just like seeing Amberlynn Reid and Chantel fighting over a piece of steak or something. What's the point? Yeah, it's going to be amusing for the first few minutes, if they can even make it that long, but after that, it's just sad. So, whatever. The same thing with this fucking Boogie and Wings thing. Now, it's supposed to be their fight as the undercard. It's supposed to be free on YouTube. I will definitely watch it. I may even do a stream on it. We can have some laughs about it. And then I'll double tap and do a video where I fucking continue to laugh at they dumb shit. So we'll see how that goes. But I don't expect too much out of that. To be honest, it's just really sad. And the thing is if Boogie does knock Wings out, no one cares. And if Wings if Wings could possibly knock Boogie out, people are gonna feel bad for Boogie. Excuse me, because despite how much of a piece of shit Boogie is, and he is, people still sympathize for him between the two of them. You know what I'm saying? Boogie's is gonna gain way more sympathy if he gets hurt than Wings does. And Wings is a cheater. He's been known for it. So are you telling me that Wings hasn't tried to propose to Boogie at one time or another? Hey, would you be willing to take a dive? Yada yada yada. Because Wings needs a win. Wings, that's all Wings lives for, is a win. Doesn't matter how big or how small. Which shows you how little his self-confidence is, to be honest with you. Let me give you another example. I've been saying this for a while. Wings came out recently and said that, oh, I only own a quarter of my house. So for all of you people talking shit, you in your mama house, but I'm in my house. And then he said, literally in the next sentence, well, I own 25% and my mother owns 75%. No, bitch. You in your mama house. Literally. The only difference was, unlike most people whose families own houses, is you ain't putting money into it and you're not going to see a damn thing of it when it comes out. Oh, well, my mother has to, they have to notify me when they sell the property. She owns the majority share, Jordy. She can sell that bitch from up and under you. She can give you your little bit, and then that's it. I mean, she doesn't need to give him some type of notice, but she owns that house for all intents and purposes. So, fuck you, Wings. And then on top of that, you ain't sat there and sunk $200,000 into that house. Actually, he's sunk more than that, but he's only admitting $200,000 because she refinanced the house like 3 times. You sunk all that money into that house with little to no appreciation, and you only own a quarter of it, and you don't even own the land. But Wings does own a piece of land like 2 counties away. He could have built himself a nice little house on that bitch. Oh, well, I was 19, I didn't know better. Wings, just say that your mama used you. Just say what everybody already knows. Your mom don't like you. When your mother passes away, God forbid anytime soon, that property is going to go to your brother. If something happens to your brother, it's going to go to your sister. Oh no, actually, I'm wrong. Excuse me. Excuse me. If something happens to his mother, the house goes to his stepfather. His stepfather would more than likely give it to his brother. If something happens to his brother, it goes to his sister. And then it just trickles down. It's literally backwater trickle-down economics. How much did your mother love you, Wings? And speaking of that, Wings, how much money did you put in your mom's failed restaurant? And then how much money did you have to fork over to your mother over the years or whatever? Now, don't get me wrong. I love my mother, too. My mother asks me of anything. She gets it. No question. The thing is my mother was not going to fuck me over. You can't say that. So when I think of Celine, and when I think of Brandy, and when I think of your mother, tell me what's the difference between the 3? You weren't sleeping with the other 2, so we don't have to worry about you having a Chris Chan situation. So what was the difference between the other 2 women who manipulated you for your money and your mother? I want you to think about that, Wings, and you let me know. Okay, so let's move on to Cobra. Okay, let's move on to Cobra. Cobra. Oh, King fucking Cobra. King Cobra, if you guys haven't been keeping up, has been losing the fight against, yeah, he must have spent at least $80,000. Excuse me. Yeah, he must have spent like $80,000 on that chick. Holy shit, if not more. But anyway, so King Cobra has been losing the fight against the trolls because that's all that Cobra lives for, which is really sad, to be honest with you. But that's the only attention that he gets. He gets more attention from the trolls than he does from his own father, and he's ashamed or embarrassed, or he hates his mother. So that's a thing in itself. Excuse me a second. Let me get a bottle of water real quick. Like I said, if the music's too loud or whatever the case may be, let me know. He gets more attention from the trolls than anything. And to the point where trolls are actually providing for him. Now, I know that Clint buys groceries for Josh. Everybody knows this. But this fast food, these DoorDash fast food situations are hilarious. Hilarious. Now, like I said, we'll talk more about this later on, but Josh, or King Cobra, isn't smart enough to realize that he's fallen into a trap. He thinks, oh, you guys are going to send me this food. Like recently, they sent him a bunch of Dorito Loco tacos. No meat. No meat, but they have beans and then heavy vegetables, which is something he probably should be eating anyway, given how his teeth are. Anyway, he thinks, oh, you better not go live, boy. You better not eat those tacos on stream, boy. You know what I'm saying? We own you. You better not go live, Cobra. And Cobra eats it, thinking that he's owning the trolls. In actuality, the trolls are winning. Because the more shit that they send him, the more shit that Cobra's forced to eat, because he doesn't want to look like a bitch, the more content that's being squeezed out. Now, I'm not someone that condones you spending money to troll, but I'll be damned if the damn thing don't work, at least over there. That shit is fucking hilarious. And you can tell that Cobra is, he's frustrated, he's pissed off, but he can't stop it. He cannot stop it. So, just like what they were doing with, doing the wings back in the day, where they used to send him like Wendy's salads with no meat, no dressing, no nothing, just lettuce, shit like that. Or that one time they sent Wings it was like a 1 pound burrito, and it was just onions. It was just onions, like shit like that, like just funny stuff like that. Cobra's fallen into that same trap. And Cobra's not going to be able to get out of it. And another thing is, and this is something very serious, is Cobra's health is failing. And you can see it. And that's why his streaming is starting to become more and more infrequent. And I'm not saying it's because of the food. I'm just saying it's because Cobra just hasn't taken care of himself. He's literally falling apart. And I think Cobra would rather die than let the trolls win. And that's unfortunate, because no troll is trying to put him in that situation. But that's neither here nor there. So that's unfortunate with the whole situation with Cobra. The Cobra trolls out there, keep doing it, because that shit's hilarious. And we'll see how that plays out. We actually talked a little bit about the flagging history thing. Like I said, we're gonna go over the MundaneMatt debacle, and I'll somehow like string in the DSP flagging video, and we'll go from there. It's like I said, it's kind of stupid. There was another tab up there that he could have hit, to kind of, really try to exonerate himself. But DSP's not going to do that. I understand that Inspect Elements, people think he might have done that. DSP isn't smart enough to fucking update any of his software on any of the equipment that he uses. I don't think he's going to go that route. And more importantly, DSP is paranoid. So even if he would have to reach out to someone to help him do that. And anybody who does could potentially narc on him later. So I do not underestimate DSP's paranoia. That's all I'm saying. Do not underestimate it. Let's see. And last, and at least the last thing for me, is Street Fighter 6 and Lil Wayne. I think that's supposed to be later on today, to be honest with you. I mean, what's the big deal? I understand DSP had his freak out the other day about how who the fuck is Lil Wayne? How does he have a connection to Street Fighter? How does he have a connection to the FGC in general? It's funny, he said the exact same thing about that female wrestler too. What was her name? What's her name? Is it Zelena Vega? I think that's who that is. When she was part of the combo pack. When she's part of the commentary combo pack, he made a big fuss about that too. I made a video on that as well. I don't think I ever got a chance to go out. It's funny how, I'm just being honest, it's funny how over the last two big announcements as it pertains to Street Fighter, that they are people of color and DSP has a problem with it. But let me help DSP out in one of my rare instances of doing so. What happens if Justin Wong was up there and he was promoting it heavy? What if it was Maximilian? What if it was Alex Valle? What if it was Daigo? What if it was Momochi? What if it was Punk? What if it was Smug? What if it was anybody else who was relevant to the scene, past or present? He would have bitched about that too. So what's the point? Why complain about anything? Why complain about something that you're not even a part of anyway? You're not part of the FGC. You never have been, really, and you never will be. You went ahead and fucked yourself up and out that bitch already. So why are you mad about anybody? You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, this is a fucking huge... This is just publicity. But it's no different than what any other game does. What DSP's problem is that a whole new generation is getting attention, and it's the attention that he never got or he could never obtain for himself. And it's pissing him off. And truth be told, that was really apparent back in Street Fighter 4. But semantics. But seeing it now only proves it. And then DSP ain't had a taste. Unfortunately, it wasn't his wife. I saw that cake thing too. Jesus Christ, that was unfortunate. But whatever. DSP had a taste of the closed betas, and he got beat up. And he realizes that he can't compete. And his piggy heart of hearts, he knows he can't compete. He knows it's going to be an uphill battle. The 20 plus years of Street Fighter, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, doesn't mean jack shit. He's essentially in a situation where he has to learn from the ground up, and he's not willing to do it. He would rather stand on what he has done, or what he perceives he has done, than to learn something new. Because of that is why he's in the situation that he's in now, which is hilarious. I've said for a very long time that DSP skipping out on Street Fighter V is going to come back to bite him. And it was probably one of the bigger mistakes that he's made as it pertains to, quote unquote, being diversified as it pertains to video games. Now he's coming into Street Fighter 6. He's sitting there bitching about Jamie's crouching medium. You crying over a fucking medium? Or sorry, a crouching medium or a crouching medium kick. You're crying over that bullshit? That's what got you mad? Oh, I think he's overpowered because that thing comes out so fast. The fuck? If that right there is a problem, wait until everybody else on the roster comes out. And if DSP thinks he can run the Zangief, if he thinks that he's going to have super armor, which he probably will in some way, If he thinks that's going to save him, he's going to be fucked. The combo game has changed. Now, for some of you who may or may not follow Street Fighter, oh yeah, it'll always be lag. There'll always be lag. For any of you guys who have been following the Street Fighter 6 tournament scene, which there is one, because they're using the cracked version of it. DSP's calling for people to be banned and this, that, and the third. How the fuck do you call for the banning or people to be ousted from a community that you're not in? Whatever. Here's the point. Why isn't Capcom themselves having a problem with it? Because it's publicity. DSP sitting there saying, oh, they have an advantage that other people don't have. Bitch, not everybody made it into the closed beta. And you got in, so you had an advantage inherently over other people. So what's the problem? On top of that, I hope that the open beta will be announced today. And if so, it'll happen this weekend. It's going to be fun, I think. I don't know if DSP is going to play, and if he does, he's only going to play it half-heartedly, because if it's an open beta, then that means all the killers are out. And DSP is going to be like, it's not fair, people were able to do this, that, and the third. Ladies and gentlemen, let me be very clear about this as it pertains to Street Fighter 6. And I said this to Agent Proper of the DIA as well. Big ups. There is more than enough material out there on Street Fighter 6. Whether you want to go to forums, whether you're looking for videos on YouTube, whether you're looking at how-to videos, you can find it. It's out there. There's a lot of information out there. If you're in the Righttt FGC Discords, they'll send you to other places. You can find it. If you're too lazy to do so, then you get what you get. Hey, Chio. Speaking of which, Chio, I hope you release that video soon and whatnot. Like I said, I very much enjoyed what I saw, and I passed it around to a few friends that thought the exact same thing. So please let me know when you post it, and I will definitely make my rounds and try to get the link out there to as many people as possible. The information is out there for Street Fighter 6 if you want it. There's nothing holding you back, if you will, outside of having the hands-on part of it. But there are plenty of combos out there to learn. You can find a lot. So we will see. I want to tell you that I think Blanca's part of the main cast. Actually, he is, because I think he got released around the same time as Lily did, which is supposed to be that young girl from T-Hawk's tribe. So, there you go on that. And have a good day yourself. Thank you guys for coming out. So that's my point with that. Street Fighter 6 if you want the information for Street Fighter 6, you can find it. His problem with Lil Wayne is yet again another person who has more than he has and more than he ever will have, and he's mad for the sake of being mad. End of story. Yet again, this is kind of just a test. Next time, either I'll speak the way I'm speaking, or we'll have some videos to accompany it. And then, like I said, I can break it up with timestamps, so it's easier for people to find what they want to find, and they can, you can ignore all the stuff you don't want to ignore. That's it. Let's see what you guys have to say in the chat, and then we can close up shop. Holy shit! All right, chat. What's going on? Can we create a machinima for detractors? Supposedly that's what SOK always was actually wanting to do. And here's the thing. Okay, so if you this is hypothetical, of course. The thing that would fuck that up is the money. That's going to be the biggest problem, is the money. Because whoever it is who's running whoever runs it are going to have to be the people who are obviously the most trusted and who actually can do it. So it's not more nepotism, it's more who can actually do the job. Basic merit. On top of that, it's going to really come down to the money, because how do you divide all of that up? You have to take this pool, you have to take all the views that come in, and that goes into a pool, and you have to divide all of that out based on the viewership of each and every person. It sounds easy, but when you really look at the nuances of how ad revenue works on YouTube, as well as some other things, then that becomes a thing in itself, and you got to really work that out. If you're paying attention to the situation with H3H3, they were on Twitter not too long ago saying that they were missing like $600,000 or $700,000, something along that lines. And they said that they thought that their MCN had fucked them over. Come to find out, H3 didn't look at their contract close enough, and well, I guess they get a piece of that them super chats and some of the other things that pertains to different forms of revenue for YouTube. And I guess he missed that. I don't know how he overlooked it. That's kind of the reason why you have lawyers to explain stuff like that to you. Whatever. But there's that. So really it's going to be about how the money gets divided up. And then you have to worry about certain stuff too, where what happens if you have a detractor who uploads, let's say, 60 videos a month compared to someone who only uploads, 4 times a month. Stuff like that. You have to, once that system is established, then you can kind of go from there. At the same time though too, and the time and effort and the money that would go into something like that, you were better off going off and getting your own sponsorships and stuff anyway, which is really the whole point of an MCN in a lot of ways. It's not a matter of you having protection from copyrights and stuff like that and having a closer connection to YouTube, but also to use those connections, if they have them, and try to branch out and get sponsorships and endorsements. Stuff that DSP didn't do, hence the reason why he's at where he's at now. Yeah, SuprCrzy does have a backup. He does. I think he's on Odyssey too. And that was weird that he got hit because he was on hiatus for a minute and then he put out a video and then automatically he got hit, which is kind of strange. So, and yet again, that just goes back to the confusion as we spoke of earlier on who did what, who struck what, and whatever the case may be. For all we know, everybody's been struck at one time or another. The only difference is maybe some videos didn't go down, maybe some did, whatever the case may be. There you go. Like, let me give you another example. I don't know why Snort Burnell got hit, but look at a Cat Roller. Why the hell did Cat Roller get hit as heavy as their editing is? That makes no damn sense. You know what I'm saying? That really shocked me. Why go after that? Why go after Outsider? Someone who's already well established and who's been around for a long time. Which, to be honest with you, DSP was hinting at getting at Outsider before he actually did it. Let me explain. When DSP kept saying that bullshit about, oh, I don't have a problem with this is how you don't play. I'm not offended by it at all. And then immediately reverted back to, oh, well, 10 years ago, when this is how you don't play started, and it fucked up my life, and it fucked up my business. That right there in itself told me that anybody who had a this is how you don't play, he was going after. He was getting it. He was getting it. You know what I'm saying? Because DSP telegraphs a lot of his moves. It's just a matter of paying attention. And don't get me wrong, you're not going to catch everything. I don't. But you can catch most of it. Yeah, it wasn't, like I said, as I said earlier, Jesse, as it pertains to, even though there's detractors in there that I don't watch, or whatever the case may be, for all of those detractors who've been hit, I'll give that interview back to get them back. And that's not me trying to put nothing out there. It's just, that's just how it should be. It wasn't worth it. It just wasn't. It wasn't worth it. And I'm not saying that, or I'm not trying to imply that the interview, it has a direct correlation with the people being flagged. It's a great motive, but I'm not necessarily saying that. But I am saying that if I had the chance to go back and say, fuck that interview, so we could keep, you know what I'm saying, those who came before us, I would do so. Because with every detractor who gets hit, older or, you know, young or old, whatever the case may be as it pertains to channels or whatever, we're losing a piece of our history. And nobody really thinks that way, so let me break this for you. You can think whatever you want to think about me. And I've always been open to that. Do whatever the case may be. I never asked you for nothing. I just asked to be heard. Was I right on everything I said? Nope. But I gave my opinion. And I stuck by most of it. And if some of it came about, it did. If it didn't, it didn't. But if it got you thinking for a little while, right? Or if it got you through something, then it was all worthwhile. With that being said, if I get hit, then I get hit. But for some of these people out here who have real talent, right? Who put real time and effort into their shit and have given you guys real information, given you guys real lore, who have given you guys substance, you should weep for that. Because even though it's on another platform, right? Because it is, like everybody's, archiving essentially everything over there, as well as other places. It's not accessible on YouTube, where it would have the most reach. With that lack of accessibility, it's essentially becoming dead media. And that's what DSP wants. That's what DSP has always wanted. See, DSP has been a fool for a long time. At first, he thought if SOK could go away, or whatever the case may be, he thought he was going to be in the clear. Then when SOK fell, that was the rise of Tevin. Even though Tevin never meant that to be. I don't mean to put words in that man's mouth, but you know what I mean? I don't think he ever meant for that to happen. And he turned Tevin into an enemy. And then he got Tevin deplatformed. And then Tevin came on YouTube and then essentially, started a lot of this for everybody else. And he made Tevin bigger than just like Tevin was essentially that generation's This Is How You Don't Play. The more emphasis that he put on Tevin, the bigger he made Tevin. And then keep in mind, you have somebody who has a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of information, a lot of lore, not only in video, not only on Twitter, but in Freedom Chat and some of these other little places that most people like myself wouldn't be able to find, especially not now, because most of that stuff is dead media. He held the keys to the kingdom, to be honest, which is the reason why Freddy Boy went after Tevin in the first place. I'm going to go off on let me detour for a minute. When you're really good at something, people notice. And when people find you to be a threat, people either try to bring you under wing, or they try to tank you. They try to get you up and out of pocket. That's what Fred did. And I'm sure looking back out on it, Fred is probably thinking, damn, I probably shouldn't have done that. But that's what happened there. Essentially, Fred ended up in a weird sort of way trying to do dirty work for Phil, unbeknownst, and he ended up losing essentially everything he tried to build. So that's neither here nor there. And that and the fact that Tevin has a lot of talent, and then he has everything else that I said that goes with it, was what gave rise to what's going on now. There's a lot of detractors, myself included, who were heavily influenced by what Tevin did and what Tevin does. So Phil making enemy out of him was stupid. It was fucking stupid. Because the first time whoever tried to take down Tevin, that the community rallied fast around that shit. So DSP clearly knew he messed that shit up, and then eventually Tevin came back. And then the second time, Tevin almost dropped the ball, but he was able to pick it up fast enough before he lost everything. So there's that. So Phil making enemies out of people who are intellectually above him, or just have more charisma or more charismatic, or whatever the case may be, has always been a dumb thing for DSP to do. But DSP will always attack people who have more than what he does. Is Tevin making six figures off this? I'm not here to count his pockets, but I don't know. I'll say no, but I don't know. But DSP is making six figures. Why the fuck are you going after Tevin? What's the point of doing that? You know what I mean? Like, why? What's the point of that? Tevin clearly has something that DSP don't, and DSP identifies it. And that's why he went after him. That's why he hates Tevin to this very day. And he always will. Which is ironic, because it's in an old Tevin video. Tevin had reached out to DSP once, back in the olden days. It was like one email exchange or something. And I guess it was a pretty good rapport. And then after that, it is ripping pepperoni, I guess. So there's that. But DSP will always go after people who have more than what he does. It's just what his nature is. And because of that, it's easy for people to manipulate him. Because even though, for example, with the Keemstar deal, do you know how stupid DSP looks? Because there are people in other communities who have heard about this $50,000 thing, and they're laughing about it. They're thinking, how does someone fuck up a deal, like an opportunity like that? And keep in mind, that was $50,000 just to sign on. Who knows what kind of money could have came later on down the line? What vest is best? I don't know, maybe that Brokeback Mountain one that he has, like that jean vest he has. Maybe that. I don't know. Maybe that. But it's funny how he fucked up a perfectly good opportunity. That's not something that's offered to people every day. You would be a fool to turn that down. You know what I'm saying? And keep in mind, Keem is in a position where he can throw his money around and he can make people move. But back before the money was really big, he used to be able to throw his reach, his influence. He used to be able to throw that around. He still kind of does, but he used to be able to throw that around. And people would come flocking. And if he really wanted an interview with someone, more often than not, he got it. You know what I'm saying? So, and if you're someone who e-begs day in, day out, oh, the fucking platinum vest? Hell yeah, Mr. Potato Head wrapped up in aluminum foil? Boy, nothing's ever going to beat that vest. And DSP was so mad at that. DSP was so mad at that. That was an easy $200 a day. It really was. It was an easy $200 fucking dollars a day to put that vest on. You're crying about you sweating or whatever the case may be. Bitch, take a bath. That's not my problem. The only thing I care about is being entertained. And he fucked that up. All because of ego. All because of ego. Because no matter what, whoever your favorite detractor is, whatever they say has legs. And it makes it back to that idiot. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. So like for myself, right? Your favorite detractor's least favorite detractor. That's going to be my new catch slogan, by the way. Even something as petty as he looks like Mr. Potato Head wrapped up in aluminum foil will hurt him. And why? Why? Who gives a shit? At the end of the day, you got your little $200 and you can pull your WWE pulls or you can get your fucking gin or whatever the case may be. Why the fuck would you let something like that hurt you? That never made no sense to me. And that's why the vest streak failed. The vest streak failed because he couldn't look past his own pride. I've told you this for years. DSP will sacrifice his pride and he will sacrifice money. He doesn't have pride though. He will sacrifice his money and his pride for ego. That's all that matters to him. If you want proof, look at fucking his FGC days when he put his ass into debt, going around gatekeeping all these little fucking Evo qualifiers, and then he failed at Evo. If that's not ego, what is that? That's not pride? A better man would have known when to quit. A better man would have been like, you know what, hey, I did the best that I could from a qualifier level, and that's that. I'm not going to go to Evo this year because I can't afford it. He ran up credit card debt for that. Excuse me, and then had to use early YouTube money to clear that up. Come on, dude. Come on, dude. And I know that I am constantly saying that DSP doesn't have pride. He doesn't have pride. He doesn't have pride. But it's true. He doesn't have pride. It's easy to say so, to justify in most people's heads on why he does what he does. No person has pride because they keep running their fucking head into a fucking wall over and over and over again until the wall breaks. I'm sorry, no. Because when he turns into the mental potato, the fucking vegetable that he essentially is now, where was it? Was that pride really worth it? This is to anybody out there in the chat right now. All these years of you seeing DSP do things the way he wants over and over and over again, right? And some people mistook it as pride. How prideful is he now? Now he's in his own little bubble. He's literally a brain cell or two away from being a fucking vegetable. And he can't do anything. He can't play games no more. Or he never could play them well. But he can't play games anymore. It's not a matter of he doesn't want to or he's bored or whatever. He can't play them anymore. It's too hard. He just can't do it anymore. He is not entertaining. He'll talk himself into circles, and this is coming from someone who talks himself into circles too. He'll sit there and talk himself into oblivion just to burn time. He doesn't want to talk about politics because he don't vote and he don't know shit about politics. Can't talk about sports because he don't play sports. He never cared about sports, so that doesn't mean shit to him. The only thing he can talk about is detractors. That's the only thing he has. Or other content creators that he's jealous of. What, he's going to go ahead and pull some news off Twitter? You mean some of the shit that he gets wrong anyway? What does he have? What does he have to offer? I want you guys to really think about that. Yet again, all those years of him running his fucking head into a fucking wall, and what does he have to show for it? Not a goddamn thing. Not a goddamn thing. You got this dude who's picking at his fucking hands because his skin's bad because he don't want to bathe. You got someone who's struggling with all kinds of addictions, right? You got someone who's mentally slipping. What more does he have? What was it worth? I want you to be honest with yourself for a minute. What was it worth? Let me give you an example. So, I'm over here with a couple people, right? And we're kind of looking, we're trying to figure out this YouTube thing on the main channel, and we're looking at this body of work and everything. And one of my peoples looks at me and he's like, you've put work into this since like 2017 or whatever the case may be, like late 2017. He's like, do you feel like you ever accomplished anything? And I told him I didn't really set out to do anything, to be honest. And I was initially, it was supposed to be a joke, but truth be told, I didn't really set out to do anything. Like, I never had any expectation of where this was going to go. You know what I'm saying? I didn't think I was going to end up doing it as long as I did. I didn't think I was going to be able to meet the people that I met, or had the opportunities. Most of them I didn't take, but have the opportunities that was given to me, or whatever the case may be. On top of that, I fucked up. I didn't burn bridges because I didn't know them, but I got into it with people that I didn't necessarily mean to, but I did. I fucked up. That was my bad. You know what I'm saying? I made enemies because people didn't like the way I talked. They didn't like what I said. They didn't like how I said it. I can't do shit about that. So, whatever. But the point is I made enemies. Some of that I deserved. A lot of that, whatever. You chalk it to the game. But I had people who defended me too that didn't have to. I had people on Twitter who were defending what I did, and I wasn't on Twitter. Like, I wasn't doing anything, and there was people out there who defended me, and they didn't have to. They didn't owe me anything. I shouted people out because I want to see people do well. I shouted people out because I fucked with their content. They didn't owe me nothing, and people sat up there and defended me and shit against opposition who wanted me out of pocket, or who didn't, or who was glad I was gone, or whatever the case may have been. Those people didn't have to defend me. And those people who did have something to say about me, they're all in their rights to do so. So there was a lot given to me that honestly I didn't deserve. And I'm appreciative of that. There's a lot now that's still given to me that I don't deserve. There are better detractors out there. I've been the first one to tell you that. So no one owes me anything. You people here now don't owe me anything. I appreciate you being here, but you don't owe me anything. You could come to this later. It'll be here, maybe. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? That's what it really comes down to. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of competition out there. There's a lot of talented people out there. And if you followed me for any period of time, you never heard me bash anybody. You never told me, oh, don't fuck with them or whatever this makes me be. I told you, if you don't fuck with this content, or you don't fuck with my content, you don't fuck with me, cool. There's a bunch of people out there that I feel do it a whole lot better. And I ran the gambit down to you of who those people were. It is what it was. If you're not going to be, I don't want to say happy with me, but if you're not going to be happy with what's here, there's a lot of options out there. You can go out there and watch somebody else. This isn't me being a bitch like DSP or anybody else and telling you to fuck you, leave. I'm saying that if you're not happy here, there are other people out there, and I'll even direct you there. And those are people who probably don't like me anyway. So I'll go ahead and send you over there, and I'm still not losing nothing. That's how... I mean, I guess I'm like that because I don't have an expectation of anything. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy what I do. I didn't do it for... Could I have done it better? Sure. Could I have done it differently? Sure. I most certainly could. But I chose to do it the way I did it because that was me. You know what I'm saying? So that's really what it kind of comes down to, at least for me anyway. That's the way I chose to do it this way, and that's, and you live with the consequences of it. To be honest. It doesn't do... You're not doing the community around you or the community that you're trying to build any favors by trying to copy somebody else. You have to be willing to put yourself out there, and you have to be willing to learn as you grow. And if you're going to do this, if you're going to put any amount of time into it, you want to grow, right? You want to get better. You want to do better. You want to be better, right? I've never inspired anybody, but I have said, hey, do better, be better. And definitely, if you can do better than me, by all means do so. Like I said, aim high. And if you don't reach where you want to reach, then reevaluate. Don't be upset. So when people, for example, in the last Purge, when the last Purge happened, I was talking to a few people and they were like, damn, that sucks that this person lost their channel, whatever the case may be. They lost all those videos and all this, and that sucks. And I said, it really don't. And I was like, 'cause they lost the channel and they lost some videos. They didn't lose the experience. They didn't lose the know-how. You lost the platform. You may or may not have lost the videos. Most people back their shit up. You can start over with more knowledge and more know-how than you had when you originally started. You're not walking away empty-handed. And that's something that I think all people need to come to the realization of. You know what I'm saying? Don't be scared to fail, because failing is really just you quitting. And don't be afraid to be yourself. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that don't take what you see and maybe emulate it a little bit or try to do this, that, and the third, but make it your own. Don't just be a carbon copy of someone else. You're not going to get nowhere like that. You know what I'm saying? So, and don't be concerned, or at least don't take it to heart what people say about you. People are always going to have something to say about you, good or bad. You know what I'm saying? And you just roll with it. Whatever you can take from it that's useful, use it. Everything else, discard it. You know what I'm saying? I've always been of the thought process that if you don't fuck with me, I'm not going to convince you to do so. You've already come up to your own conclusion. I'm going to keep moving forward. You know what I'm saying? If you want to run alongside me and say fuck you and everything else alongside it, go ahead. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead. But that doesn't really change anything. And I'm not here to change your opinion. Really not. There's a lot of people who don't fuck with me who will sit there and say, yeah, he has a decent point every once in a while. Is that a win? I guess. Is that a loss? Not really. You just keep pushing forward. And you have to be willing to do so. And that's not just with this shit. That's with anything. That is with anything. Because if not, you're going to become resentful. You're going to be stagnant. There's always going to be someone who's going to be better. Right? You cannot compete with anybody until you have an understanding and mastery of yourself. If you have no real understanding or control over yourself, you will never be able to compete with anybody else. Try to be the best content creator, the best video game player, the best worker at whatever your job or your career is, or whatever the case may be. Try to be the best husband, the best father, the best boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. Be the best person you can be. Don't worry about what other people are doing around you, because you can't fix that. You can't do anything about it. You can't change it. If you focus on what other people are doing, what other people are saying, you're going to drive yourself crazy. I've seen very fucking talented detractors who they let small shit fuck up what they had because they couldn't see what they had in the big picture. You know what I'm saying? And so when I look at, I'll give an example. I'm going to use Sunspot Gallery, actually. Did you guys know that Sunspot Gallery pretty much retired from semi-retired. He semi-retired when he was damn near on top of the game. He damn near... Holy shit. Dude, when he had bacon sweats, he literally had a chokehold on the game. DSP's begging was at an all-time high, and it's just too much of a lot of things to go through all of it. He had found a niche in the market, and he cornered it. Anybody else could still do it. He wasn't blocking anybody else, but he put a lot into doing that and made a name for himself, which proves that as it pertains to DSP or any community, you can find this one little thing and turn it into something that people want to see. And he went ahead and left the game while he was on top. That shit's wild to me. Like, that was, I mean, I understood when I found out why he did it. I understood. I understood 100%. But you got to think at that time, though, like, you know, you couldn't. That's where a detractor wants to be. You know what I'm saying? It takes a man to step away from a situation like that for the betterment of himself or his family or whatever the case may be. There's not a lot of people that can do that. There's not a lot of people that can do that. You know what I'm saying? That is, in my opinion, you got to. I respect that. I respect that. So, and I hope that with his new podcast and whatever the case may be, Pigsplaining, I hope that he can capture that, because I honestly think he can capture lightning in a bottle again, and he's doing it in talking to your peers, not all of them necessarily on YouTube, but on Twitter or Discord or whatever. I think it's an untapped market. It's an untapped niche that you should be able to go after. And that's the thing about anything. Just stay open-minded. Just stay open-minded about whatever it is that you're doing. You know what I'm saying? If you can do that, you can go far. You know what I'm saying? You can go far. Gouty ops. I don't know. Everything these days is an op. Speaking of which, I think I saw Goji Tanks in the chat. Hopefully you're on That Being Said soon, or not That Being Said. Sorry. Oh yeah, this was called that podcast. That Being Said, I hope Goji Tanks gets up there, because I'd like to hear some of his thought process as it pertains to his time playing against Phil. Same thing with Evil AJ. So that big ups to that. I hope he makes it on there. Exactly. As one fucking stone crumbles, another one or two will always take its place. So, and that's how it should be, honestly. Yes, I will. I'm going to eventually cover the side scroller interview. Yes, I will. I'll do that. Excuse me. I'll do that and the aftermath to it, and DSP's bullshit after that too. So, I don't know. I'm clocking in at something like 24 hours or whatever the case may be. So something ridiculous. Because if you think this is gonna be funny, someone did a calculation for me once. I usually punch out. I usually punch out 2 hours for every 30 minutes that I do. So do the math. So it'll be something along those lines. So you're gonna have a pretty big epic on your hands as it pertains to that. But we will see. How's it going, Mike? How's it going, Ghost Hunter? Hermit? What's up, Grim? I'm questioning whether Khet actually works, but yeah, Khet definitely does more work than DSP does. I will say, since you brought that up, that whole thing about what the fuck is going on in the Snort fort, where you can't walk around your house without having slippers on. What the fuck is the problem there? Like, when I heard that, I was thinking, oh nah, he's just being retarded right now. There's no way he said that dumb shit. Oh yeah, I told Khet she can't walk around the house without fucking slippers on. Dude, what the fuck's going on in the house that you can't walk around with slippers? Have those stationary ants literally taken over the pig pen? What's going on? Is there broken glass in that bitch? Is there something wrong with the floor? Are the pipes starting to come up, or does he have like water damage that's starting to splinter the floor up or some shit? What's going on in that house that you can't walk around barefoot? That shit fucks with me fucking royally when he said that nonsense. Because I can't remember what he said that she stepped on, or whatever the case may be, but he said that she stepped on something. And I was thinking to myself, well, you know, did you consider taking her to the hospital? What's going on with that? So I don't know. I don't know. I've speculated to nauseum on what that house might be like, and I would assume it's not very good. So I don't know what to make of that. Yeah, no urgent care, no nothing. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure he just said, oh, I'll just throw some alcohol on it and that's it, or some peroxide or whatever. And I don't know if that's the way to go about it, To be honest, I have no clue. But I do. But that right there should, yet again, kind of show you what DSP's thought process is. Whenever something happens, he always addresses it with the bare fucking minimum, right? He'll move, I should say, with more urgency if a detractor is doing something to him than he ever will with something that's going on in his own house. And that right there is kind of scary. And it makes me wonder, does he leave the house in squalor to punish Khet in some type of way? Does he do it because he's waiting for a big payday? I don't know what the fuck's going on. But I guarantee you that house is in a condition that would wildly blow your guys' expectations. It has to. We've got a broken bathroom plus another bathroom that's partially broken. God knows what's going on with that kitchen sink or under it. The floors are fucked. The smell must be, oh my Christ. I don't even want to imagine what the smell is of all those old DoorDash boxes in Jasper's kitty litter that's been just piling up. Excuse me. Oh my God. I think I'm feeling about to be sick on that. I couldn't imagine what that pig pen's like. It's bad. I know it's bad. And when you look at DSP, he comes on screen like he's some unwashed piece of pork. He looks as bad as I think that house is. And I think there's a reason why we haven't seen Catherine. He doesn't want no one to see how stressed that woman is. And more importantly, the picture that was taken, you remember that, the one at the gas station. That's clearly stress eating. Clearly, that's stress eating. So, I mean, you know, who knows what she goes through. And I trust me, I've taken my shots at her just like I've taken my shots at Panda. But no one deserves that. When you give up your freedom for security, you get what you get, essentially. I'm not saying she necessarily deserves it, but it is what it is. And if that whole situation with the restraining order is true, I need details. I need to understand what was the time frame that happened. Did that restraining order pop up after Subaru Man found out that you two were messing around? Or did it happen before? Give me something. Because I need to know that. Because it's different. It's different if she's on the couch, or on the casting couch as we used to call it, and she's texting you in the middle of the night. Subaru Man comes home and he sees you texting, and it's a number he don't recognize. Or maybe he wakes up early one morning and he sees her phone and he goes through it and he's like, what the fuck is this? There's all kinds of variables in that. I'll tell you this, she didn't look like she was being hit, thank God. So if she needed a restraining order, what's the details of that? I need, you know what I'm saying? If he says that everything's in context, okay, then I need context. And I kind of wish that Craig or Adam would have said something, but I'm glad they didn't, because that right there, Phil, is called human decency. Now, an asshole like me, I'd have pressed your ass on that. Oh boy, I would have grabbed my bacon press out of the drawer. I need details on that. What happened? Because DSP already told us that, that Subaru Man used to drag her off to Marvel movies and she didn't like it or whatever. Being dragged off to a movie that you don't like is one thing. You having to put out a restraining order on somebody is something else. It's something else. And let's say, hypothetical Pignosis, our favorite game. Let's say, hypothetically, hey, they were going through a rough patch or whatever the case may be, and he was trying to work it out. And you were there still fucking the situation up. I can understand why he'd have a reason to be mad. That's not a reason to hit no woman. It's not a reason to hit anybody. But I can understand how he could be upset about that. But upset enough to get a fucking restraining order? Come on, man. And if that was the case, people would have been found that restraining order, if anything. They would have found that a long ass time ago. Why is it just now coming up or being a thing? That's a really big thing to overlook. And don't get me wrong. Excuse me. There's a lot of things that have been missed over the years. A lot. But Jesus Christ, a restraining order? Come on, man. Come on, man. Someone would have found that by now. At least that was my thoughts. Oh yeah, Light for Dark. Yeah, I'm gonna go over it. I'm gonna go over the interview for sure. Actually, right there, into the break, I agree with that. If Keem wanted to reach out to Superman, I'd be interested at least hearing a little bit about that. Like, I would probably be interested in hearing that. Certainly more than Panda. Because, let me be frank, if Panda had anything to say, she would have offered it up by now. If she's coerced or paid to say anything, she can literally make up anything that she wants. The truth will always mean more if the person comes out on their own. Not if she's paid for it or if she's whatever. If she has something to say, she'd have done it by now. She'd have done it by now. And the wild part about that, at least my theory, is deep down, she may still care about him. I'm not saying she wants to be with him, but she still must care about him. So, you know. And the thing is, the way he keeps calling Catherine mommy, I mean, did you call Panda mom by accident? Did you let that slip? I'm just asking. Because that's a weird thing to slip up on. You know? It's a weird thing to slip up on, calling your wife mom. But whatever. It is what it is. And if you miss your mom that much, Phil, why don't you talk to her more than once a week? I'm being honest with you. Or if you miss your mother that much, why don't you make a concerted effort to go out there and visit that woman? You know what I'm saying? Why not do that? Because I don't want to be a dick, Phil, but something tells me that Melissa has probably gone out there to see your parents more than you have. And that's a goddamn shame, because that's not their kid. That's their niece. That's your uncle, who also had a fucking substance abuse problem, and your father took her in. And then it's weird. I'm gonna be a dick for a minute, because that's what I do. I'm not gonna be for a minute, because I last longer than that, but you know what I mean. How is it, Phil, that your uncle and your aunt had a substance abuse problem, right? That your father takes their kid in, right? She develops a substance abuse problem, and you have one. And then your mother has a shopping addiction, and I don't even know about your dad, man. You say your dad has herniated disc, or he has problems. Is he self-medicating too? Is he fucking with his pills? Is he fucking with his drink? I don't know. I'm just asking. I'm just asking. It's really, really... you want to sit here and talk about, oh, you inherited gout, or you inherited greasy skin, or bad hair, or all this other lame-ass bullshit, but you don't talk about the substance abuse problem that runs around in that bloodline. You know, it's funny how he don't talk about that. We can talk about all these other mundane type issues, but we don't talk about the substance abuse problem that goes on in that family. That's really weird to me. But whatever, semantics. What we got here? Meth Bear is a lawyer and went through. Oh, so did Meth Bear like find the evidence? Is it true? Is it a thing? Yeah, the hereditary gout thing was funny. Because, and the thing is about the whole getting gout from your aunt was weird. It's just dumb. You ate a lot of food that you probably shouldn't have been eating without actually doing anything to mitigate it. You caught gout. End of story. Jesus Christ. Fucking Quarter Pounder has gout too, and it is what it is. Okay, so it was brought up on that being said and they confirmed it? Exactly. Linda should have swallowed. I mean, I know that's one of the most brutal things that I've been told that's one of the most brutal things I've ever said, but it's true, to be honest with you. Because as a parent, your children are the most beautiful thing that's been given to you, yeah? You know what I'm saying? And most parents treat it as such. But what do you do when your child is just a piece of irredeemable garbage and he's been like that his entire life? How do you deal with that? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you deal with that? Like, when I want you guys to let's do some hypothetical here. I want you guys to imagine yourselves as DSP's mother or father, knowing what you know. And I want you to imagine all of the help that you've ever given him and how it didn't mean anything outside or past the moment you gave him that help, right? And then I want you to visualize as a parent that I want you to know, not think, but know that your child is slowly but surely waiting for you to die so they can get themselves out of debt, so they can continue their existence. I want you to think about that, because as a parent, your children are supposed to outlive you, right? You've been given this blessing. You raise your children as best you can, and you hope that they will go on to be productive, have families of their own, or whatever the case may be. But what do you do when you have this human piece of fucking garbage here who is legitimately waiting for you to die out? You have this human piece of garbage here will sit there right in your face and look at you and say, oh yeah, I'm willing to do a 10-year plan. I'm willing to get a job. I'm willing to do all this dumb shit, whatever, and then not do it. What's the new scheme that's going on right now? Or what's the new thing that he said? His mother's mad at him because she offered to pay for a honeymoon and he didn't take it. He'd rather use it for tax money, which is kind of fucked up because they were already giving him money. They had been giving him money, to be honest with you, for a hot minute. And that honeymoon, and here's the crazy part about that. Taxes aside, that honeymoon money, quote unquote, wasn't just for him. It was for Catherine too. So this idiot right here is like, oh, my mom's mad at me because I told her I needed help with my taxes and I didn't want to go on a fucking honeymoon. And he's not even seeing it from his mother's standpoint. That, hey, you married this girl, take her out on a honeymoon. Maybe his mother's thinking, okay, maybe a grandchild can come out of that, whatever. But something productive, something for him to work towards. Like, have any of you guys ever been on vacation somewhere you've never been? You know what I'm saying? Just as an example. Like, when you've gone on vacation somewhere you've never been before, it really opens your horizons to see something you've never seen before. For most people, it motivates them to want to do more and want to be more so they can obtain more. But DSP don't think that way. He doesn't see life like that. And because of that is the reason why he's at where he's at now. So he doesn't even get the scheme that his mother was trying to do as it pertains to that honeymoon in the first place. He looked at it as, oh, well, that's money I could use on WWE champions and taxes. What the fuck do I need a vacation for? Not even seeing the big picture of what that woman was trying to do for him. That's crazy. And what is she going to get for it at the end of the day? She's going to wait for this little piglet right here is waiting for her to die out so he can get whatever insurance money, if there is any, and then get whatever he has in the estate, which after whatever debt that they may have when it comes to credit cards, any type of loans, if the house is paid off in full, and any other outstanding debt, and then Melissa's half, there may be little to nothing anyway. And then the insurance might not even be that much anyway. So, it's not like it's going to be $1 million in insurance. It may be, if he's lucky, it might be $100,000. It may be $150,000 if he's lucky. You know what I'm saying? It's not a lot of money when you think about it. And and as a parent, that has to be, if they knew, that's kind of scary. Now, DSP can't take care of his parents. He can barely take care of himself. He can't take care of his wife. He can't take care of that declawed cat. There's no way he's going to be able to take care of his parents. There's no way. There's no way. When you have to call your parents to come from the other side of the country to hang up pictures, to paint rooms, and to fix toilets, that tells me a lot about you. And you didn't even let them stay in the same house. They had to stay at a hotel that they had to pay for. He didn't pay for that hotel. How you... Nah. I get what you're saying, but nah. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Like, how do you compete against that? How do you compete against that? You can't. You can't do that. DSP has used every person that he's ever known. Matter of fact, I'm going to be a dick about this, but I'm going to be honest with you. Any person that's ever given DSP the benefit of the doubt on anything, myself included, I'm sure I've done it at least a few times. He's theoretically misused you as well. You know what I'm saying? You don't give people like DSP the benefit of the doubt. Now, I get the whole thing about the human aspect. where we want to believe people can change. We want to believe people can get better. Well, let me tell you, as your favorite detractor's least favorite detractor, a piece of shit will stay a piece of shit because it's easy to do that. It's hard to change. It's hard to better yourself. It's so much easier to be down in the fucking dumps and have people carry you. It's easier to try to drum up fucking sympathy and pity points and whatever than actually be a man and take control of your own fucking life and do something. It's hard to do that. It's hard to make changes. It's hard to get up and go to work every fucking day at a job that you may like or even you may not like. It's hard to get up and go to school and deal with these fucking exams, deal with these fucking professors, and deal with all this bullshit, right? It's hard to deal with that. It's hard to get up out your house and go and do the basic shit that every other fucking adult does, right? It's hard to do that, especially if you think people are judging you. Or if you think, and this is the really fucking funny part, if there's a fucking detractor out there who might be watching you or who might be scared of you. Now that I think about it, let's talk about Amberlynn Reid for a minute. Apparently they ain't found our girl Amber out in the wild, and someone got a picture of her, and goddamn, that woman's wide on all sides, boy. Goddamn, she is bigger than I thought. Anyway, but they found her on that. Another thing about Amber, actually, next time you guys see Tevin, ask him to look into this, because I think he'll get a kick out of it. Someone sent Amber like $100 worth of baked goods, and Amber had a bitch fit about it and said that they hope they go to hell and they're in there with Donald Trump or some dumb shit over some baked goods. Over some baked goods that she said she threw away, knowing damn well that woman did not throw away shit. She ate that. She devoured it. And she mad. How the fuck are you mad about a P.O. box that you opened up so people can send you free shit, and you got mad because people sent you food? Get the fuck out of here. Locals are wild, man. Locals are wild, man. I gotta tell you, that shit was crazy. That shit was crazy. Excuse me. Couldn't believe when I heard that shit. Amber is wild. Anyway, back on subject. But yeah, DSP is, yeah, you made him stay in a hotel. He made them stay in a hotel. He couldn't, with all those rooms in that house, he could have had them stay there. Matter of fact, what should have happened was DSP should have given his room up to his parents, and him and Panda could have slept downstairs. That's what should have happened. You don't put your parents in a hotel when you own a 2 or 3 bedroom house, or room house, I should say. You don't do that. There was plenty of room for everybody. So I couldn't imagine making my parents do that. I couldn't imagine me having the gall to look the woman in the eye who brought me into this world and say, "Oh, you okay with staying at a hotel?" And then on top of that, I'm not paying for it. My mama smacked the black off my ass for that one. Nah, that just don't happen. I don't know anybody who's ever done that. I don't know. You make it work is the point I'm trying to make. You make it work. And so it is what it is. It is what it is. Oh boy. I don't know what's going to happen to Catherine, to be honest with you. She needs to get out of there. She really do. But I don't know where she's going to go. Or I don't know what she's going to do. I would hope, I should say, that over the years, she's put some money away. That's the best case scenario. I hope she puts some money away. Because clearly, there's no love in that relationship, and there never really was. And it's kind of sad to be honest with you that you brought a woman out of, let's say that you took her out of a bad situation and you brought her into an even worse one. Yeah, DSP doesn't put hands on Catherine or hooves on her, clearly, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't emotionally, or it doesn't mean that he's not emotionally abusive. You know what I'm saying? Or he's not mentally abusive. Those are clearly things that he is. Because let me be honest with you, chat. If I could talk shit to any of you on stream all day, if I can treat you guys like garbage, you can only imagine what I do when I'm not on stream. Tell me I'm lying. I want you to really take this in. If I was someone who was, as a streamer, who depends on you people to live, you know what, guys? Snort Coffee Company, the best beverage company. We're trying to really get it off the ground, and I really need your contributions. I need you guys to buy in. Okay, so I got this pre-packaged coffee and I got all this merch here. I need you to buy that. But on top of that, I need $300 a day so I can every time I stream, so I can keep the business going. I need that. And if you don't do it, then you were never a real fan anyway. And fuck you and fuck everybody else that comes with that shit, because I'm here 6 days a week busting my ass and you guys are not providing me anything of substance. If I could do that every day, or at least 6 days a week, what the fuck do you think I'm doing when I'm not on stream? That's like saying, oh, well, Cobra drinks a lot when he's on stream, but he's not drinking when he's not off stream. Or when he's, sorry, let's reword that. Cobra drinks when he's on stream, but when he's off stream, he's not drinking. He's sober. Think about that. I want you to really, really think about that. Or let me give you another example. Look at how Wings treats Khet, how he treats Kelly. I remember it was in a Lummox video, I think. She was leaving the house and she was like, hey, I love you, I'm getting ready to go. And he's like, oh, well, hey, did you check that email? Didn't say I love you back, didn't say nothing. He's like, hey, did you check that email? Okay, I'll text you later. Which is code for, I'm gonna need you to pick me up something on your way home. And that's it. He don't love Kelly. He loves the idea of Kelly being there. But he don't love her. Kelly was a means to an end. In the exact same way as for DSP. Khet was a means to an end. He needed someone to take care of him. He had a house. He had the means, quote unquote. She needed a place to stay, and she needed to be put to work. So he put her to work. I know that sounds fucked up, but that's the truth. It's not a nice thing to say, but you didn't come here for me to say nice things. You came here for me to be honest with you. So I'm being honest. Exactly. Hopes don't make dreams, actions do. Exactly. But the thing is, he don't have no dreams. He doesn't have any aspirations to do anything. If nothing else, the last big quote-unquote campaign that he had to accomplish anything was the Win Evo. Because then that right there tells all the namesayers, I'm actually someone, I actually accomplished something, and you guys can't keep talking down to me or treating me like shit. Wait a second. I thought DSP keeps telling us, oh, the FGC respected me. The best players used to fly out to Connecticut to play me because I was the best competition that they had. So why the fuck are you so desperate to win Evo? Matter of fact, why did you feel the need to go to each and every Evo qualifier if supposedly you have so much respect? I want you to think about this for a minute. Like, I really want you to think about that. If you have all this respectability and you have all this likability, why are you out here trying to prove so goddamn much? Here, let me give you an example. Let's say Street Fighter 6 drops and there's a Detractor World Tournament, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Let's say you have all the hitters that are out there. Evil AJ shows up, Playing With Your Belief shows up, Secret Limited shows up, all of you guys, let's say all you guys show up. And let's say for like 2 months leading up to the tournament, I'm on stream or I'm in a video, I'm saying, you know what? Yo, I'm the man in this shit. I got this. You know what I'm saying? I'm running shit around here. You don't know this? Yo, matter of fact, I'm training Agent Proper and James the Lesser on the side. They're gonna clean up in that tournament. You guys better be glad I ain't showing up, because I'd whoop all your asses. You don't want none of this. And then like a month out, after everybody let me talk my shit, let's say Ann Leet, for example, is like, you know what? What's that guy's name? GTG? What's he talking about? He says he really good? Yo, tell him to come on stream. Let's see what that work about. And I don't show up. Let's say that being said, it says, hey, we're gonna have our podcast or whatever, right? And then we're gonna have a little mini tournament afterwards. You know what? Golden's been talking a lot of shit, right? He says he's training people and he's doing all right? Yo, see if you can get him to come on and see if he wants to have a couple rounds. I don't show up. Let's say Tevin and Theo decide to have a little tournament or whatever. They decide to have a little get together online, right? Have a little lobby, and they decide to go ahead and have a couple of round robins or whatever the case may be. And they're like, you know what? they say GTG is kind of nice. Go ahead and see what's he about. Let's see what he's up with. Let's see what he wants to do. And then I don't show up. What the fuck do you think people are going to start to think? People are going to start to think, well, damn, how is he supposed to be the best killer out here? He's one of the shooters out here, and he never show up. Can't be a shooter if you're not out of there on the block, or if you're not on the court. So what's the problem? It's like that. If DSP had all the respectability that he says he had, then what's he running around trying to prove? It don't make a whole lot of sense. Especially if you're so hung up for money. Let's think about this part. I don't know why you would think I'm thought-provoking, but let's say for a minute. If supposedly you have all this respectability, right, and you're so broke that you can barely make it to Evo, and remember, he went out to Evo like 4 or 5 days early. Keep that in mind too, because that's something that's lost in translation. Look up Cigar Bob, by the way, on like Pig Go, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So let's say that you're hung up for cash and you're not sure if you're gonna make it to Evo. Why are you spending all this money traveling around the country to go to a bunch of Evo qualifiers that you either quote unquote placed highly in or you won? You only need one. He only needed one qualifier win. Those other tournaments, those qualifiers are not going to help boost him up in the bracket, but he thought it would. That's the reason why he went. If you really listen to what DSP says, he literally tried to do everything he could to give himself all the advantages possible, and he never popped up. That's true. That's really true. You can't call yourself a shooter if you don't have any bullets. Exactly. Bullet prices are getting up there too. But it's still nice to go off to the range every once in a while. So think about that. Really think about that. Respect is earned, not given. I repeat, respect is earned, not given. And that's all that him and people like Wings ever wanted, is to be respected. But they never did anything to really be respected. I mean, Wings did before that Syndicate situation, and before that White Boy 7th Street situation. Those weren't pretty good, and it weren't really any good looks. Yeah, see, exactly. You heard about that idiot named GTG who thinks he's so good at the Neo Geo version of fucking Street Fighter 6? Motherfucker took third place at Evo from 2023 to 2026. We'll say 27. You know what I'm saying? Like it's fucking ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. And that's why you're never gonna see him do another interview, I don't think, unless it's with side scrollers, because he doesn't want anybody that's gonna pick him apart like that. That's me just joking. This is you and me, chat, just joking around, and look at how hurtful that is. If you really think about his story and you really break that shit down, that shit gets ugly. That shit's kind of scary. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of embarrassing. So, it is what it is. Why does DSP hate guns so much? I don't know if he's ever handled a weapon, to be honest, but I don't know. I want to say in a lot of ways it might be it could be tied back to his situation with T, because DSP, I got to be honest, if DSP had a gun pointed at him or put in his face, he wouldn't act the way he acts. So I don't think it's that. His fear of guns could come from anything. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. All I know is, at least when I was a kid, my father taught me how to shoot. So, you know what I'm saying? And at first, that kickback is going to make you feel a certain type of way. But after a while, after a couple of times and whatnot, you start getting comfortable with it, you get your stance right and everything like that. Then, you know, after a while, that's the whole point. That's the whole point on why you would teach people, you would teach your kids or teach your wife or girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever you're into how to shoot, because you want them to be comfortable with it. I don't know what DSP's scared of everything. If you really think about it, he's scared of everything. He's scared of people coming to his home. He's scared of his Uber, of the DoorDash drivers now. He's scared of the delivery drivers. He's scared of everybody. He's perpetually in fear all the fucking time. I don't think T was packing. I don't think T had a gun. I don't think so. If he did, I don't even want to say that, but like, I don't think T was packing a weapon. I don't think so. I do find it interesting though. I don't find it interesting. I'm an asshole. But when DSP came out and said that the whole city was hurting when T died, and he blamed himself for it, this is where I'm going to be an asshole. Okay, I want you to think about this for a minute. Let me use I don't want to do that. Actually, I don't want to use anybody here that I'm cool with like that. Let's say one of you guys here, you and me are tight, right? And whatever the case may be, we're at the mall, we're wherever, and you're like, hey, can I, would you mind giving me a ride or whatever? And DSP apparently, and I was in my feelings that day for whatever reason. I said, no, well, I can't, whatever, yada yada yada. And and I'm sure everybody's asked for a ride at one time. Oh man, I'd like to, I can't, or whatever, yada yada yada. And then I hear later on that you got killed. Now, am I gonna feel a certain type of way about that? Yes, I am. I am most certainly going to feel a certain type of way about that. Because I could have avoided it. But then what if I couldn't? What if, let's be honest here. T could have left 30 minutes early, nothing could have happened. T could have left 30 minutes later, could have still got killed. T could have gotten shot leaving the fucking mall with his friends. T could have gotten shot. There's a bunch of different variables. Is the point I'm trying to make. There's a bunch of different variables. You got to be a sick piece of shit to sit there and try to put another person's death on yourself, and then try to use that for attention. That's a really fucked up, disgusting thing to do. Out of all the vile shit that DSP's done, and he's done quite a bit, that right there strikes a nerve with me in a certain type of way. It really do. And you want to know why, chat? It strikes me in a certain type of way. Because if you love T so much, and that was your friend, and that was your rival, and all that other bullshit, when you were doing your fucking bucket list for Connecticut, why didn't you go by that man's grave and give him 10 minutes and say, hey, I'm sorry, I love you, and keep it pushing? And then, for any of you who want to make the excuse that, oh, well, that was emotional or whatever, Panda was with him. Panda don't know fucking T from Tevin. So what was the problem with that? She could have easily walked him up there and said, who's this? Oh, okay, well, go ahead and say your final goodbyes and let's go and get this ice cream. And that's all he had to do. So how is it that you love this dude so much and you ain't never gone to that man's grave? How is it you love this man so much and you couldn't even say goodbye? What did T do to you? I want you to think about that. It's not like he didn't have the means. How was it that saying goodbye to your dead friend is not a priority before you leave Connecticut and never come back? Matter of fact, let's go ahead and call a spade a spade. Did he go and see T's grave when he went out there to get married? Did he pass by his grave over there? I'm just asking. Matter of fact, let me be even more of an asshole. For all the money that DSP was making, the Benz, if he had a taste in cars. But anyway, he has the BMW outside, El Cheapo model, according to him. He's got the BMW outside. He's got all these fucking pictures and all this bullshit around the crib. He's got all these fucking arcade sticks all over the place. He's literally cluttering up his house. You never thought about going over there and buying T a bigger gravestone? Matter of fact, you were still cool with John, Howard, and the rest of the guys who made up that brotherhood at that time. You didn't think about, hey guys, let's pull our money together and get T a proper, I hate to say it that way because I don't mean to downplay it, but I'd like to get T another gravestone. Would you guys, I'm willing to throw up the majority of it. Would you guys be willing to contribute to that? And for any of you out there who are saying, well, GTG, why would he do that? Oh, so we can throw all this money at Project 7, but we can't put no money towards the guy who we built our fighting game career off of? Remember, I am your favorite detractor's least favorite detractor. So someone needs to ask those type of questions. So yet again, we can't do that. We can go ahead and buy all these little trinkets and all this fake bullshit for a web show or whatever, but we can't do nothing for our mans there? Just asking. I'm just asking. I'm just wondering. He would even. You would think he would do a begathon for it. That's a fair point, Silent Weapon. But let's think back to that charity event that DSP wanted to do in 2015. We all remember that, right? Oh, I was going to reach out to some other YouTubers and to some other streamers, and I wanted to do this charity event, but I couldn't do it because these people fucking started to hate me for no reason, and I just couldn't do the charity. So it makes you wonder, what was the charity actually for? Was it going to go to St. Jude's or whatever? Or was that money going to be used for something else? And matter of fact, I don't even think it was in 2015. Now I think about it. I think he wanted to do that charity while he was still in Connecticut. It doesn't matter. Well, it does matter, but it doesn't matter. No, actually, with that being said, Lost, I think the thing with T... I want to try to choose my words carefully with this. The reason why DSP buddied up to T is because T was getting a lot of attention. T was looked at as the golden child. He was looked at as a natural prodigy, and he had the respectability of the people that was in that community at that time. And I think DSP was envious of it. And I think because DSP was around his age or even slightly older than him, he thought he could kind of like maneuver himself in position and try to eat off T's plate. I think that's what it really was, to be honest. And with that being said, the way he describes T is T was someone who was able to take a character and find the most efficient or most broken or most damaging aspects of that character and be able to do well with it. And if you look at DSP, he's no different. He tries to find the character that's the most overpowered and go with it. Or in Call of Duty, he tries to run to the most overpowered weapon and expects to win with it. And as you see with Goji Tanks, for example, proof positive, playing the best character doesn't mean anything. If Sean is literally bottom tier in Third Strike and he's able to beat DSP's ass, what's that tell you? I mean, DSP ain't worth much, but it also makes an incredible argument on how efficient of a player Goji Tanks is. If you want to talk about Call of Duty, boy, if you don't have any gun skill, I don't care what gun you put in your hooves. I'll beat you 7 ways a Sunday. You're relying on a gun. I have strategy and I have tactics and strategies. I'm going to beast you all the time. I have just general know-how. You don't. You're going to run out into the middle of the map, and I'm either going to snipe you, I'm going to blow you up, or I'm going to end up just putting a bunch into your center mass. And what are you going to do? You can't blame a gun if you can't shoot it. It means nothing. And that's why DSP is as bad as he is. And then now that I think about it, didn't that tournament that DSP said that he won for Call of Duty, that was with side scrollers, right? That was at that event, that Screw Attack event, when he was on that team for side scrollers. Hey, how's it going, Raiden? Well, anywho, the point being is that oh, well, that's interesting. Okay. So there's that. Yeah, Screw Attack Convention. I'm sorry. Thank you. That's where the Call of Duty event was at, right? Yes, I do plan to. Yeah, I plan to go over the side scroller interview, as well as the follow up, and then DSP's bitch fit as well. So I've got a lot to work on. to say the very least. But anyway, it was fun to do a test stream with you guys. Like I said, hopefully next time we'll have some videos to go over based on some of the subjects. You got an idea of kind of how I'm going to format it a little bit. So we'll see. Here, let me not hold you guys up though. Like I said, I'm sure there's other streamers out there you guys want to check out, so I won't hold you. But thank you guys for showing up to this test though. I very much appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys on the flip. Okay, Raiden, answer your question. He went on to that no worries. Thank you guys for showing up. DSP went on that interview because he thought Craig was going to protect him. He thought Craig was going to give him softball questions, and essentially he wanted Craig to, and the rest of the side scrollers, to humanize him, right? If so, that interview right there would have helped catapult him, at least so he thinks, to maybe getting one with Moist Critical or something else. Of course, it didn't work out that way, nor would it. But it is what it was, to be honest. It is what it was. Yeah, like I said, it's good seeing you guys too. Thanks for popping in. I very much appreciate it and whatnot. Like I said, the Street Fighter stream is going to be later on today. So for anybody who cares about 6, check that out. I'll probably end up going over it for sure, and definitely want to hear DSP's responses to it. Yet again, as it pertains to that, who do you want to go up there and represent the FGC, or represent video games, or represent whoever? Who does he want to do it when he has a complaint for everybody? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. So, it is what it is. But like I said, players, thank you guys for all showing up and whatnot. And I'll have some music to play you guys off. And like I said, take care of yourselves. And like I said, just as it pertains to some of the stuff that I said, yet again, like I said, some of that stuff could have been handled differently. It could have been handled differently. Like I said, everybody has a right to respond to things that have been said or whatever the case may be. But it is what it is. It's the belly of the beast, I suppose. All right, people. Later. Oh, and don't forget to here. Let me put this in the chat real fast. Don't forget to check out Sunspot Gallery and his Pigsplaining series. By all means, if you take anything away from the last 2.5 hours plus, please check that out. I think it's a good watch. Like I said, there's like 8 episodes to it. Big ups Sunspot Gallery and the rest of you guys. Alright, get out of here. See y'all later.